But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0
doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're doing something a little bit different. As usual, look, I'm open to inspiration in all the ways, and that's the point of all of this, is not just to inspire myself, but hopefully to inspire you guys to create things, to dream in different ways, to just see the world slightly differently, as if maybe we had the wisdom of a child again. In this particular case, shout out Pete in Georgia, Chef Pete, gave me this idea a couple weeks ago and kind of just suggested, hey, Mike, I think this would be a pretty cool idea if we put this together and did it this way. And I thought about it and hell yeah, let's go. So what we're going to do tonight, it's a little different, like I said. I'm calling this the Monster Mash, where legends collide. Now, let's say this goes back actually several years in a it was an Axios piece. Yeah, I know, Axios. I'd punch yourself in the face, Axios. Yes, that Axios. But they had this pretty cool series that they did for Halloween in 2023, and it was basically this. It was called Axios Halloween Bracket. Vote for your favorite mythical creature, and they had all these like super cool creatures. I'll read them to you here because it's awesome and funny and amazing. But we're going a little more archetypal with the creatures. But they started with this, so it was basically this. Like they did a series every week. Took votes on the different brackets, group 1, group 2. I'll just read them to you. So group 1 is the chupacabra versus the skunk ape. This is not what we're doing tonight. This is where the inspiration came from, not just Pete, but also this happened years ago, a few years back from Axios. Group 2 would be the Wendigo versus the Jersey Devil. And you see where this is headed, right? Group 3 is the Rougarou, I think is how you say that, versus La Llorona. We've talked about many of these over the years on the show. Group 4 is the Michigan Dogman versus Bigfoot, which seems like distant cousins or something. Group 5 is the Loveland Frogman versus Mothman. Group 6 is the Jackalope versus the Puckwudgie. Group 7 is Champ versus the Snallygaster. And Group 8 is the Dover Demon versus the Fresno Nightcrawler, which is super cool. But they just did it on votes. What we're going to do tonight is kind of a little D&D action. We're going to do it. I'm going to simulate the fights as we go. You guys tell me. We're going to kind of take some votes in the chat chat as we go who you think will win and for whatever reasons. And of course, we are taking your calls all the way through this because that's the whole point, is to talk to each other about these wild ideas. But as you know me, I don't like to look at things in the most basic linear fashion, because not only one, is it incredibly boring, two, there's so much more depth to life itself. And so I'm looking at this in sort of the archetypal aspect. Now, if you check the write-up tonight, it is very good per usual. It's not always that they're bangers, but I'd say 2 out of 3 are pretty banging. But I'm going to read it straight from the thing because it's better than me rambling on about this. But we are taking your calls tonight on the Discord, and of course at 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. All right, here we go. So tonight we're doing something different. 8 creatures from folklore, mythology, and the dark corners of human imagination. Enter a tournament bracket where only one survives. This isn't about who's scariest or most iconic. It's about which archetypal pattern proves strongest when different manifestations of human fear are forced to collide. See, there's a Troubled Minds way to do this. We spent millennia keeping these archetypes separate, safely confined to their own mythologies and cultural contexts. Vampires haunt Eastern European castles. Werewolves proud Germanic forests. Mummies guard Egyptian tombs. Demons occupy theological hierarchies. Witches practice in hidden corners. Bigfoot hides in the Pacific Northwest wilderness. And Mothman appears before disasters, and of course in Cape Pleasant, I believe, or Point Pleasant, right? Is that what it was called? Anyway, zombies represent our modern apocalypse anxieties. Each gets its own story, its own rules, its own cultural framework that keeps it from touching the others. But these aren't random horror tropes collected from unrelated traditions. They're consciousness patterns that recur across cultures because they map fundamental human fears and shadow aspects we refuse to integrate. Very Carl Jung, of course, right? So Jung identified archetypes as inherited patterns in the collective unconscious, structures that shape how we perceive and process reality before conscious thought intervenes. Every monster we've created is an archetype given form, an externalized aspect of psyche projected onto something we can fight, flee, or at least name. And that says it more succinctly than I ever could. So instead of rambling on, that's the best way to do it. But I have created my own little bracket here, and I'm calling it the Monster Mash. And we'll start like this. It's going to be the vampire versus the zombie in the first bracket. The second's going to be a werewolf versus a mummy. And the third is going to be a witch versus a demon or celestial entity. We don't have to go dark with demons. Let's call it a celestial entity. Go second edition D&D. And then we'll go Bigfoot versus the Mothman. There you go. There's the brackets. So we'll simulate these fights as we go. And looking for your votes. Who do you think will win it all? I talked to Mrs. Strange before we started. She said, I kind of feel like the werewolf is going to take this whole thing down. So that's one vote for the werewolf. But what do you guys think? I'm a little excited to see where this leads because I don't know yet. I haven't simulated any of this, but we'll do it on the fly. We'll do like an AI simulation D&D sort of thing and talk about not just archetypes and monsters, but what is your favorite monster of all time? Not just from folklore mythology, modern spaces like Bigfoot, and of course the Mothman. And that's where we start. We start with this wild idea of not just folklore and mythology and how all of it comes together, but the archetypal fears and how they match up against each other. And that's what's on my mind tonight. Normal, random, Troubled Mind style stuff. But what do you think? Oh, yeah, right? A lot of things in play here, a lot of ideas. And I do enjoy the sort of I don't know where this leads when I'm doing the show sort of thing. So if you don't like it, forgive me. I got to keep myself interested somehow sometimes. But yeah, so Monster Mash tonight, and we'll start on the top left. We'll start with the vampire and the zombie. Then we'll just go left again and then jump to the right and then go to the bottom right. So left top, left bottom, right top, right bottom, and then that's what we'll finish up with tonight. And then the brackets advance, and then it'll be a semifinal and then a final, and then we find out who wins it all. Okay. Anyway, so that's if you guys are interested, love to hear your thoughts. Again, 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. But before we do any of that, we're going to get a word from our sponsor. In this case, it is Human Inspiration, which is the entire point of these shows, by the way. Like I described when we started, Human Inspiration is what brings me here. I hope it's what brings you here. And let's be inspired together. So let's take a quick break, 1 minute. This one brought to you by Human Inspiration. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. Be right back. I'm a little tongue-tied. What the hell's going on? Be right back. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, so this is what we're doing. We're doing the bracket. We're doing the monster mash. I think 8's about right. I mean, we could have gone like a full 16, but then there's no time for calls and other interesting tidbits regarding the folklore of these different entities. And remember, I'm looking at this through my frame of reference as sort of the archetypal fears and how they match up against each other. And so the question, additionally, not just which is your favorite, not just of the entities on this list tonight, but what is your favorite of all time? What kind of monster do you just resonate with? Do you think is like super cool? You've always really been into it, drawn to it for some reason, and you can't explain why. Or maybe you can. And if you can, that's even better because I want to hear you explain it. But here's the other question as part of this. Which monster or archetype do you think best represents modern anxieties and why? Yeah, sounds like school, right? Sounds a little bit like school. And I got some ideas on that. We'll talk about it as we go, but I think there's a nice mix here that we begin with. And before we do that, Robert has had his hand up for a few minutes here. So we'll go to the Robert, and then we'll maybe do the first simulated fight here and hopefully get some more calls after that. One more time, 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Once you're in there, just join the show chat. Put your hand up if you want to be part of it, or you could just sit there and listen and chat with us. Anyway, the Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking. Having a nice time with the Monster Mash so far, and I hope this one turns out well. What's on your mind? Go ahead, sir.
Well, my favorite monsters are none of those that are up there. My favorite monsters were the kids in Children of the Damned and Village of the Damned. They were that's my favorites of all time in the monster movies.
Okay, brief me on that. What were they and what did they do? I don't think I've ever seen those movies. What happened with those creepy little kids?
In a quick synopsis, in these villages, these women became unexpectedly pregnant, including ones that were virgins. And it turned out that they were impregnated by some sort of alien spore. All right, and they raised these children, and these children, whenever you ticked them off, their eyes would glow, and they would and they would cause you to kill yourself.
Oof. That doesn't sound like the best, but welcome to modern horror.
The Children of the Dam was 1960 movie. If you want to check a look at it, and the Village of the Dam was like 1964, which I thought was better than the first. Anyway, I have to ask for a personal privilege here. I just needed to get across tonight a dream I had last night that scared the living bejesus out of me.
Sweet. I hope there's monsters in it. Love to hear it. Go ahead.
It involves that 3-1 Atlas.
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's bombing the zeitgeist with clickbait nonsense. Yeah, that one. I'm very familiar with it.
yeah. Well, I dreamed that the thing took a different course and came over the Earth. And what it did is it sucked up the atmosphere of the Earth. And the impression I got from the dream was that their atmosphere was dwindling and they were stealing ours.
Okay. That sounds very ancient astronaut theorists say yes. I'm into that.
Well, can you imagine if ever... it's going to make its closest approach, I think, on the 30th.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Or sometime. Yeah, and I'm hoping that the dream was not prophetic, because if they took all of our atmosphere, we're all not going to be able to watch Troubled Minds anymore.
Well, that's the least of our worries, but you're absolutely correct. I hope that does not happen. And I think the initial mathematical estimates of this thing flying by would have been, remember, the alien invasion was December 5th. So that's what we were told way back when. So I don't believe it. I'm not endorsing that idea. I'm saying that was the particular date, if I recall properly, that December 5th was the day when that would happen. So we can at least mark it on our calendars and, hope nothing happens. What else you got, sir?
Yeah, I like breathing.
Exactly.
Really, that's. I just felt that I got to get on tonight to talk about that dream, right? Because it was so vivid. And I woke up, and I don't scare easy, but I thought, that's possible.
Yeah, well, it's very like again, what's that old movie, 80s movie that where they Maximum Overdrive, where the comet comes and all the machines wake up. I mean, the tropes are out there, and certainly there's a bunch of things that are in play as far as that goes. And it is, I think it's actually good you bring that up, because we are dealing with, once again, another archetypal fear of some alien entity or craft flying by and changing how we perceive life or experience life forever. And so it's certainly, maybe you could add that into the lexicon of the bracket here of monsters fighting monsters, because we're really talking about fears challenging fears. But yeah, I love it. I love the idea anyway. And maybe. Oh,
that's another thing. Another monster. You see, I'm so much older than you, young man, right? But I love the old monster movies that I used to go in and watch. They would run a three monster movies for the price of a quarter back in those days. Anyway, one of my favorite all-time monster movies was I Married a Monster from Outer Space.
I think I've seen part of that one. That's an oldie, but yeah, I think I've seen part of that.
That is a really old. Matter of fact, Tom Tyron played the lead role in that. He became a famous writer. It's the monsters themselves. Do you remember what they look like?
It's been a long time. I was little when I saw this on a rerun, but no, I don't remember. I can pull it up.
Oh, it's classic. I mean, they look like nothing but slimy, cartilage tubes. They invaded the people's bodies to make them look like they were Earth people, and that's how this woman winds up not knowing that she inadvertently married one of those monsters who looked like her fiance.
Ooh.
While her fiance was in a incubator, basically a suspended animation tube on one of their ships.
That's creepy. More alien archetype fears drawing on us. Yeah. One more time, list those again. I'm going to write these down so I don't. I'm going to add these to the list and see if I can catch up on them.
Okay. Children of the Damned.
Okay.
Village of the Damned. And I Married a Monster from Outer Space.
Okay.
The one I recommend you, if you get a chance to watch more than any other one, is I Married a Monster from Outer Space.
Okay.
Because when they kill those monsters, what happens to those monsters as they grade? We're talking about special effects back in the 60s. That to me, that rivals whatever's here today.
Yeah, you had to do it the hard way. You had to earn it. To convince anybody of anything, you had to seriously earn it. Absolutely. Yeah, fire stuff. I've got it. Children of the Damned, Village of the Damned, and I Married a Monster from Outer Space. Thank you for that.
Right. And the first movie I ever saw as a child was at a theater here in town, and it was Dracula movie, Curse of Dracula with Peter Cushing. And I never forgot it, because when he gets killed in the church, anyway, when he gets killed, he just melts into dust.
And I'm of the generation where I know Peter Cushing as the guy in Star Wars. He was Moff Tarkin, who they resurrected.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
yes, he was.
They resurrected him for Rogue One as posthumously this digital entity, which is a little more creepy. And another terrifying archetype of the coming future. Fire stuff. What else you got, sir?
Yeah. That's about it. I'll let some people come in, and I appreciate you sometimes when you're going to shows that are trying to do competition, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but that's outside my life experiences.
Yeah, that's okay. We're not actually going to do that. I'm going to let AI kind of simulate the fights. So the Perplexity is going to be our dungeon master tonight. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm not rolling dice. I'm not doing anything. I've got so basically I've got a prompt. I'll put in the two monsters, and it'll write up a narrative in like just a second or two, and then I'll read it. Which, matter of fact, I'm going to read the first fight tonight as soon as you're off the phone here, which is going to be, let's set this up, the vampire versus the zombie. That's what's coming up next. You're the best.
No question about it. The vampire win.
Okay.
Because he's already dead, and they're both dead creatures. All right, but there's no way that the zombies would appreciate eating a vampire's brain because it's already dead.
Yes, indeed. And all that comes into account, I'm sure, because I've programmed.
And a vampire wouldn't appreciate zombies because they don't got any blood.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Matter of fact, I'm putting it in right now, and I will read you the output in just one moment. You're the best, Robert. Appreciate the call. Thanks for chiming in here, and thanks for sharing the game and all the rest.
Stay tuned in and see what you young people are up to.
Right on. Sounds good. Appreciate you very much. You know me, love him. The Robert, a mentor of mine, a mentor of us all. Go check out his book, Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. I know the title because he sent me a couple copies. I read it. It's very good. You can find it at troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit and it'll say The Robert. It's under T for The Robert. That's his writer's name, his mentor name. And appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call tonight. Thanks for kicking us off. Let's do it. So we're going to go back to the bracket and just reframe this real fast. It's going to be a vampire versus a zombie coming up first. Then we have a werewolf and a mummy. We've got a witch and a celestial entity, demon if you want to do that. I don't want to go all demonic on you. And then Bigfoot versus Mothman, because let's get some cryptids in here. And the first battle is in. Let's read this, and then this is what we'll do for the rest of the night and just kind of talk about these ideas. I still want to know who your favorite cryptid is or monster or whatever. And what about archetypal fears facing each other? That's what this is about. Anyway, so here we go. The graveyard lay open beneath a sickly harvest moon. Its stones split like broken teeth. Moist earth breathed out the rot of centuries. Among the crooked angels and crumbling crosses, the vampire waited. Once a lord, now a silhouette with blade-white eyes, he lingered at the boundary between the living and the forgotten. His hunger sharpened in the silence, a patient thing, ancient and intelligent. Then came the shuffle. From the mist's underbelly staggered the zombie, flesh sagging, mud-caked fingers twitching with necrotic instinct. The vampire's nostrils curled at the scent, disease, sorrow, and carrion. Yet beneath that rot pulsed something ancient too, a whisper of the same darkness that had once made humans fear their own graves. The vampire saw it not as prey, but as insult. They circled amid moss and shattered gravestones. Crows stirred. The vampire lunged first, a blur of preternatural grace. Talons caught the air, slicing where the zombie's skull should have been. But the corpse's head bobbed loosely, almost detached, defying the precision of a refined death with raw, blundering resilience. The vampire hissed, twisting midair, landing upon a cracked tomb. He struck again, fangs grazing dried flesh. The taste was foul. No pulse, no life to claim. The zombie reached clumsily, tearing through marble to swing at its tormentor. The blow connected. Not skill, but inevitability. The vampire staggered, bloodless yet breathless, more offended than wounded. Realizing his charm and speed offered little against what felt no pain, the vampire changed approach. He blurred again, this time vanishing into fog, calling storms from the air with his will. The wind rose, shaking the oak trees that webbed the graves. The zombie's single eye rolled as it lumbered through the gale, mindless but relentless, guided only by the gravity of hunger. The vampire reappeared behind it, seizing its head. A whisper of sorcery bled into the corpse, an old power of command over the dead. For a heartbeat, the zombie froze, its jaw slack, but the spell faltered. The stench of plague carried a resistance to charm. What was once human could no longer hear the call of ancient blood. And there's a couple more paragraphs here that we're out of time. I'll read when we get back for the exciting conclusion of the vampire versus the zombie. Love to hear your guys' thoughts tonight. Thanks for being part of this so far. Appreciate the call, Robert. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. What is your favorite monster? And what happens when archetypal fears face off against each other? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. More on the way.
In the moonlit fog, shadows rise creeping near. Figures twist and turn, embodying every fear. They battle in the arena, where whispers hold sway. Nightmares morphing, dancing in a ghostly ballet. Trading blows with the dreads, ancient terrors collide. Echoes of those names, haunting dreams they confide. In the showdown of the night, fears become the champions of pride. In the depths of our own minds, the greatest battles we all find. Every shadow holds a mirror, reflecting our soul. What we fight in the dark, it seeks to make us whole. The night calls out, a whisper lost disguised in the surreal arena. Our truths begin to rise, facing monsters born from voices we suppress. They teach us strength, laid in darkness we dress. In the showdown of the night, these become the champions of pride. In the depths of our own minds, the greatest battles we all find. Every fear a teacher, in the endless night, shadows merge and form, blurring wrong and right, facing truths we hide. We learn to stand and fight, in the echoes of our fears, we find our inner light. In the showdown of the night, fears become the champions of pride. In the depths of our own minds, the greatest battle we all find.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network and, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, is it possible for folklore's monsters and ancient archetypes to actually clash and reveal deeper truths about consciousness itself? Can immortal predators and mindless ghouls, vengeful mummies and prophetic cryptids, forbidden sorcerers and cosmic spirits all throw their patterns into battle and decide which fear matters most? Or nah, as usual, or nah. And remember, there's no truth to be found here. This is just wild ideas. I like to call them philosophical constructs to have larger conversations about what it means to be human and in the past, the present, and of course, the coming future. That's what this is about. That's what this has always been about. And thanks for enjoying the journey with me. All right, back to this. Now, we left off with the vampire and the zombie. Couple paragraphs left. Let's read that and get to the conclusion. Snarling, the vampire drove the creature into an open grave. The earth swallowed both in mud and bone. Clawed hands scrambled. The vampire tore through ribs like parchment, found nothing living, then thrust a sharpened shard of coffin wood into what remained of the zombie's spine. The body convulsed once, twice, then fell, still, as the muck claimed it. The vampire crawled out, his cloak in tatters, his eyes gleaming in triumph. Around him, the fog recoiled as if the land itself feared his endurance. Yet victory had flavorless substance. He spit black ichor onto the soil and stared at the motionless pit. In destroying the ghoul, he had tasted corruption beyond death. Even his immortal flesh felt heavy, as if touched by plague. When the dawn's first gray light touched the stones, the vampire was gone. Only the churned grave remained, and now worms stirring beneath it, whispering that death never ends. It only changes its shape. And there you go. There's part one. So we've got the vampire defeating the zombie and moving into the semifinal bracket. So there you go. Next up, we'll have the werewolf versus the mummy. Again, I have no idea how this is going to turn out because I'm going to generate these on the fly. So what do you guys think? Who's going to win the next one? And the Robert predicted correctly that the vampire was going to win that first battle. So what do you think about a werewolf versus a mummy? That's part two coming up next. Love to hear your thoughts, though. Of course, as part of this, we're taking your calls at 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's talk Monster Mash tonight. Let's go to Theo in Philly. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Oh, hey, what's up, Mike? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You sound fantastic. Welcome to the joint.
Okay, I was not expecting to be on this fast. But I wanted to give my input to the witch versus the demon, if that's possible.
Sure. What do you got?
All right. I think the witch is always going to win. I'm 100% witch, no matter what. And I would like to say that, like, the witch is the only creature or monster, if you want to call them that I actively have nightmares about. And I don't know what that says about me, but like it's definitely true.
Okay. I like the odds of the witch, the earthbound magic, and her first bout there is with a celestial entity. So it's earthbound magic versus celestial magic. So that should be interesting to see how that shakes out. But I do like the witch as a dark horse favorite to win this whole thing. I'm with you. Great stuff. What else you got? If you got a poem or something you want to wait a little bit, we can do that. I can put you on hold. We can come back. I didn't want to surprise you like that, but since it was a nice stopping point after that first battle, you were on the phone, so I answered it. But if you need a little bit of time, we can definitely accommodate that.
Oh no, I got something. I just like want to say, like, like the witch. Despite like the other monsters, the other monsters are somewhat like born into their powers, or transformed into their powers. Like like the vampire, the zombie. They, kind of like choose or become what they are. The witch like kind of like gives something of herself, where she makes a choice to become the witch, And I don't know, like something about that, like it's always like captivated me and brought like a lot of fear into me. But yeah, we can go to break or anything like that if you want.
Now it's up to you. Like I said, if you're writing a poem or something and want to jump back in like 5 or 6 minutes or whatever, we can do that. I was just offering you that because I didn't mean to sneak up on you. Boo. Here we are.
Oh no, I actually like wanted to like describe a nightmare that I had, which was like like I don't remember many of my dreams, but like sometimes I do remember my dreams. And one of like the worst nightmares I ever had was about a witch. And I hope I like don't get like like too terrifying on here, although it is close to Halloween season. But like I think there's something about a witch, like her willingness to sacrifice herself and also to sacrifice everything else. Where I had this one nightmare where it was dusk in the woods. And I knew that, I was with my friends and my family, and we couldn't go further into the woods at dusk because it was like, a witch in the woods. And the dusk, but like, like my friends and my family, they all wanted to go deeper into the woods, so we subsequently did go deeper into the woods. But I had heard that there was a witch's tree there. And I didn't know what a witch's tree was at the time. But eventually, like, during this nightmare, we ended up going to the witch's tree and finding the witch's tree, which the witch had built herself. It wasn't a tree, like, an actual tree of wood. It was, like, a tree of, like, just all her sacrifices, like, together. It was, like, kind of horrific, like, I mean, it's extremely horrific. I don't know. That's all I got. It was terrifying. But
No, it's I appreciate you sharing.
What it was.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the experience. It is, and this is, I think this is the point of all this is a lot of these monsters, critters, cryptids, whatever you want to call them, they are again at the heart of what it means to be afraid. And so certainly the witch in the forest, Hansel and Gretel, that whole bit, it is one of those things that stuck with us for a very long time, for thousands of years. So valid there. I'm not discounting that at all.
Yeah, I don't know what brings up that primal fear in me from the witch, but there's something about it. Something about it that definitely spooks me more than anything else. But yeah.
Right on. Fire stuff. I appreciate you chiming in here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. Thanks for being part of this. Let me know when it's cool to share your Substack, and we'll certainly pass that on unless you got anything else, my man.
Eventually. Thanks very much, man. Good to talk.
Thanks for calling. Always a pleasure. You were the best. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Toodles. There you go. That's Theo in Philly, good friend for a long time, the official poet of Troubled Minds. He does have a Substack. I know where to find it, but I haven't shared it because he hasn't allowed me to do that yet. But anyway, appreciate the call. And tonight, I'm calling this the Monster Mash. We're talking about these archetypal fears and kind of putting them in a bracket, sort of fun Halloween style. And we started with the vampire versus the zombie. The vampire won. I'm generating these in real time, so I don't know how they turn out. I'll just read them to you as we go. The next is going to be a werewolf versus a mummy. So let's do that. Pete's got his hand up. I'll talk to him momentarily, but let's get this out of the way so we can kind of have a conversation together instead of having to kind of put this on the back burner and race through this at the back end of the show here. But here we go. So what is it? It's a werewolf. All right. And a mummy. And there we go. All right. It's generating, and I'll read this in just a second here. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Like I said, I like being creative in different ways and being able to kind of look at the world slightly differently as I like to talk about. But in this particular instance, we've never done something like this. And again, it goes back to not just Pete, thank you for the inspiration, but back to that Axios article where they did this whole series a couple years ago, where every week they had people vote, every week at Halloween, these different groups, Chupacabra, Skunk Ape, as I read earlier. Too much to do in one night, all that stuff. So we boiled it down. I boiled it down to 8 entities, and we've got the vampires advanced, and now we're going to find out if the werewolf or the mummy advances. And what do you think? What is your take on that? Who wins this one, and how weird does this get in the end? One more time, 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. But let me read this. This is from, here we go. Let's kill that. And this is the werewolf versus the mummy. So let's get the entry fights out of the way. Here we go. The moon hung low and swollen above the Valley of Kings, its silver light spilling across a forgotten necropolis. The air was dry as parchment. Wind whispered through toppled obelisks and cracked sarcophagi, as if the spirits of the old gods watched in uneasy silence. At the threshold of a crumbling burial chamber stood the mummy, linen strips fluttering like desiccated wings. Its eyes glowed with buried sunfire, ancient and accusing. From the dunes below, a low growl ruptured the stillness. The werewolf emerged, half shadow and sinew, its fur matted with desert dust, its chest heaving with primal hunger. The scent of decay had drawn it here. The smell meant prey, but this was no ordinary prey. The mummy's presence carried the weight of divine law and forbidden memory. The werewolf lunged first, a blur of feral speed across the moonlit sand. The mummy raised one bandaged arm and hissed a word that had not been spoken since the Nile gods drowned the world. Sand erupted like a wall, throwing the beast back. Whirling sand coalesced into hands, reaching to restrain the lupine form. The werewolf slashed through the shapes, shredding them, savage persistence tearing through the magic of millennia. They circled, a creature bound to the moon's curse and another bound by a pharaoh's command. One subject to rage, the other to ritual. When they clashed again, claws raked linen, and the scent of long dead oils filled the air. The mummy struck back with a skeletal hand wreathed in golden light, pressing the sigil against the werewolf's chest. The beast howled as hieroglyphs ignited across its fur, sigils of binding drawn from the underworld script. But the desert wind shifted. The clouds parted and the full moon blazed, unbridled above. The werewolf's muscles swelled. With a roar, it broke the seal, ripping free from the luminous curse. In that moment, the mummy faltered. The sand magic waned, its curse unraveling in the open night. The werewolf pounced, teeth meeting ancient throat, severing words older than kings. Silence fell. The glowing eyes dimmed, and the linen figure crumbled into dust that shimmered briefly, then disappeared into the wind. The werewolf stood panting over the ruin, the scent of victory mixed with the tang of ancient jasmine, faint and sorrowful. It threw back its head and howled, but the sound echoed strangely through the necropolis, less triumph than warning. For in devouring cursed flesh, the beast had tasted something eternal. When dawn bled across the sand, the werewolf was gone. Only paw prints led away from the tomb, ending abruptly at the edge of the dunes. There, half buried, lay a single strip of linen, fluttering faintly, as if waiting to bind again. And there you go. Part 2. We've got a werewolf defeating the mummy as we continue tonight. Again, like I said, if you got predictions on this, I don't know what this is going to end. I thought it'd be fun to do this. And again, shout out Pete. We'll talk to Pete in a moment here for the inspiration for this. What is your favorite cryptid or monster or whatever, and why? And very smartly by Theo, he was talking about the witch. And I like the witch as a sleeper winner here because she's got some tricks, but all these entities have tricks. So we're doing something a little bit different, a little bit more fun than usual, at least in my mind, because I don't know where this is going to end either. That's what I like about doing this, is because I just don't really know. And I'll be as surprised as you guys are. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. We're taking your calls. I'm calling this the Monster Mash tonight. And we're in Legends Collide, or Where They Collide. And we're talking about archetypal fears. And fear versus fear. And where does this end? Yeah, complicated, right? As usual, which is exactly where I like it. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and being part of this. Let's go to 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to, again, the individual who helped inspire this show with the idea a couple weeks back. Chef Pete. What's up, brother? Pete in Georgia, you're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Oh.
Indeed. Welcome to the joint. We got +1 for the vampire, +1 for the werewolf, which sets up a vampire werewolf semifinal, by the way, in that bracket. That should be pretty odd.
That's exciting. I'm excited for that one. I think it's going to be the witch or the werewolf.
Okay.
Honestly,
okay,
I really do.
It takes it all down.
I think the witch has some things in her pocket that she can unleash. And I think that the werewolf has his own set of things. As long as there's a full moon, I'm going werewolf.
Okay. And as I was going through this too, and kind of thinking about this myself, and, you know, I actually had like stat cards pulled up and stuff. And I was like, no, this is too much. We don't have to do all this. But it was highly dependent, a lot of their powers, on where they were or when they were, right? Again, so the mummy fight happened in Egypt near the tomb, of course, because that's where he would be. But if they were, you know, in sort of a Germanic forest with a full moon, maybe it would have been a very, very much shorter fight. And that fits to a lot of these, the full moon with the vampire, or of course the different places where these entities reside. Bigfoot, for instance, in the Pacific Northwest, he's able to kind of blend in, disappear into the trees, this type of thing. But if you put him in the middle of Manhattan, maybe less, right? And so, as usual, home field advantage plays a ton in this particular space. But thanks for inspiring this show. And what else you got? There's a ton here to talk about. And what's on your mind, my man?
You know, the other one I'm looking at is Bigfoot versus Mothman. Harry and the Hendersons. He could be anywhere, you know?
Yeah, that's
back
true.
in the day.
That was a great movie.
Like, you know, he could, but he's a charming young guy. He was a charming guy. So Mothman might have him on that one because he's a little bit more mysterious. He's a little bit more in the shadows. And normally when he shows up, good things don't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad things happen.
Bad things happen, yeah. Which is a lot of these entities, for sure. Do you have like a particular sort of a scary, like Theo talked about the witch as sort of being a recurring nightmare for him? Do you have one of those ones that is kind of like your archetypal fear if you had to boil it down to one particular entity?
Shadow people. Shadow people are my one particular entity that freak me out. Like the sleep demons, you know, like you wake up and like maybe it's sleep paralysis, maybe it's a little bit of whatever, but you see like that shadow person and you can't really get out of it. That kind of freaks me out. that stuff freaks me out big time. But we're all still alive, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. The shadow one, again, like I can see a lot of this stuff. The shadow one, the out of the corner of your eye type stuff, where you look and it's there but it's not there. Certainly, that's creepy AF. Because how do you quantify whether it's real or not? Is it your mind playing tricks on you, which always turns into that big fat maybe as part of this?
It definitely could be. I mean, we all don't sleep as much as we should, and we all don't get as much rest as we should. And then, you get your anxiety, you get your feelings on the inside, and whether it be a real thing that's happening extraplanarly, or if it's just your mind imaging it, that's the thing that's, the scariest. Is it real? Is it not real?
Exactly right. Sorry, I'm setting up the next fight here, but yeah, that's exactly the point here. And not just the shadow figures. I think that plays with anything paranormal. And I almost put a ghost in here tonight, but I thought it'd be a little bit weird because how does the ghost kind of fight back? And, it's not really fair. So it's like, okay, let's keep this to kind of physical entities. And the only one who's kind of plainer is that the demon-esque, the jinn or whatever that is. You can label that whatever you like. But I almost put a ghost in here. But instead, I slipped in a Mothman instead. So we'll go with Mothman in a second here. But so your prediction on the next fight, what do you think regarding the witch versus the celestial entity, the jinn or the demon, or however you want to quantify? Who do you think is going to win that one?
I think the witch is going to take it through. I think she's got a bag for herself of protecting, and I think that she's going to put that demon or jinn in his place. That's my prediction.
Okay, I love it. We'll generate that when we come back after the break and find out exactly. And again, we're flipping coins here because I don't really know. I can see how it goes both ways, but we're just generating it in real time, like we did with that Choose Your Own Adventure a little bit. And so, super cool. Thanks again for inspiring the idea. Again, Pete, if you guys don't know, sent me this exact idea, very similar anyway, like 85% of it a couple weeks ago. Was like, hey, Mike, do you think we could do a show like this? Because that'd be kind of cool. And I thought about it and was like, hell yeah, we could make this a Troubled Mind show. Let's do this. So here we are tonight. So thank you for the inspiration, the ideas. That's why I'm here again, to talk to people and be inspired and to talk about Wild Things by Dark and Night. Appreciate the call, my man, unless you got anything else.
I'm good. Thanks, Mike.
I appreciate it very much. You take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Talk to you soon. Later.
Thanks. Take care. Yeah, I'm loving Pete in Georgia, the Chef Pete, affectionately, which he actually does wake up very early in the morning and go do that type of work. More of the invisible process as people eat, forgetting the people that cooked the food and brought the food in trucks and stocked the food overnight in grocery stores, et cetera, so on. Okay, so back to this. Now, if you read the write-up, I do recommend it tonight. So I'm gonna read just a little bit of this to kind of buffer us for this next space and get into the witch versus the celestial entity, the jinn, or whatever you want to label it as. But check this out. This is interesting because it's looking at these entities not just as we know them, but sort of in the larger archetype of what they are. In this case, we already had the vampire victorious over the zombie, but the vampire represents aristocratic predation. The creature that was once human but chose immortality over mortality, trading soul for eternal existence. Eastern European folklore describes beings that return from death to drain the living, but the vampire is more than bloodlust. It's calculated intelligence, supernatural charm, masking absolute hunger. Every culture that developed burial practices has some version of the restless dead, but vampires stand apart because they maintain agency. They plan, they manipulate, they select victims with purpose rather than mindlessly consuming whatever crosses their path. And he emerged victorious versus the zombie. Again, the zombie archetype, which is what we're talking about tonight. But of course, as usual, we can take this anywhere we like. Nonlinear, open-ended with the thought, with the tulpas and the egregores as they come about. But the zombie offers the opposite archetype, where vampires retain cunning. Zombies embody pure entropy. Haitian folklore described the zombie, Z-O-N-B-I, as a person stripped of will, enslaved through powder and ritual. Modern interpretations lead toward viral infection, but the core remains identical. The zombie is humanity reduced to base function, stripped of everything that makes consciousness meaningful. It's the fear that we might continue after death, not as spirits, but as meat puppets, animated but empty. One zombie is manageable. 100 are inevitable. And the matchup, of course, reveals something about how consciousness works. The vampire represents control maintained past death. The zombie represents control utterly lost. Both are undead, but one preserves identity while the other dissolves into collective hunger. The vampire fears becoming what the zombie already is. The zombie can't fear because fear requires self-awareness. When these patterns collide, we're watching a philosophical confrontation about whether individual consciousness persists after death or dissolves into base function. Yeah, and there's more. I'll read some of these as we go. But thanks again for being part of this. Thanks again to Chef Pete for inspiring the show, giving me the idea. And thanks for bearing with me as I have my druthers and my fun and talk about entities by dark of night, as I like to do. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. As usual, we're taking your calls. I'm calling it the Monster Mash, where legends collide. And just back to the thing here, if I had more time, I'd make like a little interactive thing where I could drag the vampire forward for winning, and then, you know, it's just too much time. I just can't justify that much time, but I could. But anyway, so the vampire has advanced in the bracket against the zombie on the left side. The werewolf has advanced against the mummy on the left side. Coming back after the break, we've got the witch versus the celestial entity, the jinn or the demon. And then below that, so I've had some questions on whether that was a dogman or a Bigfoot. You decide, because we're talking archetypes, but it'll be, I'm calling it Bigfoot versus Mothman on the bottom there. So that's what that is. And there's some questions about what that bottom one was. So it's Mothman. Chapstick in the pocket. You guys remember that? Richard Gere in that movie? Super funny. The scene, he's on the phone. What's in my pocket? Chapstick. And he like pulls the chapstick out, and there's like the jump music. He's like, chapstick's in my pocket. I was like, okay, we can get a little less corny, can't we? Anyway, what are you guys thinking? Who's going to win this? Who's your favorite? We got the vampire has moved on, the werewolf has moved on, the witch versus the celestial entity, and then we've got the Bigfoot and Mothman coming up. And of course, we'll generate this as we go. And even I don't know what's going to happen. Your Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is in limbo tonight. I do not know where this ends, but I hope it ends in a fun way. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you want to be part of the conversation, you know what to do. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And don't forget the questions. The first question is, who is your favorite monster? Your favorite or least favorite archetypal fear? And then, which monster or archetype do you think best represents modern anxieties? And why? I think there's probably a ton of good answers to that. And that's how I'm feeling tonight. A little weird, a little wild, little into this, and I hope you guys are as well. I don't know. I think my favorite is, like I said, I think the witch has got like a sleeper chance. Like I think she's like a sleeper in this, but I don't know. The vampire. I don't know. Top three for me would be the vampire, sort of that celestial entity, and the witch. That bracket's going to be interesting. I'm not so sure about like a Bigfoot or a Mothman taking this all down. That seems a little bit backwards, but I guess we'll find out. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. More coming up after the break here. We got Derek the Night Stalker with his hand up. I'll talk to him momentarily, and your calls as well. What do you know about it? If we're talking the Monster Mash, who wins? And what about these archetypal fears? Like I said, which monster or archetype do you think best represents modern anxieties, and why? One more time, 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More on the way. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Yada, yada, all the places, all the things. We're on KUAP Digital Broadcasting and 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Check troubledminds.org for all the rest of the things and all the rest of the places. Do join the Discord. Again, lots of amazing people are part of it. And help the show. You know what to do. Spread the word, all the rest of that stuff. I appreciate it very much. Many of you have. Tonight we're doing the, sort of a bracket of which folkloric entity wins. We started with the vampire versus the zombie, and the vampire took it down. Then we moved on to the werewolf versus the mummy, and the werewolf took it down. So setting up the semifinals of the which I'm sure everybody is excited to see and hear, the vampire versus the werewolf. But in the other bracket, we still have the first round, which is going to be the witch versus the jinn or demon, the celestial entity, and then the Bigfoot versus the Mothman. And yeah, so we'll simulate these as we go. I'm using Perplexity, and just like I said, I don't know what comes next. I don't know who wins. We're going through this together and being shocked by the result. Are we going to be shocked when the Mothman takes it all down? Like the sports ball in us, right? We're all like, I wonder. Wouldn't that be a wild the twist of the tale that the Mothman takes it all down? Don't forget, he's a prophetic entity. He can see the future. So I don't know. Yeah, no problem. I copy that, Derek. Okay. That's where we're at. And again, like I said, check out the write-up. Let me read this little bit here, and then we'll go to Derek, and we'll simulate the rest of this after his call. But the deal is this, right? So it not just goes to the aspect of the first fight. The second fight is this, because we did the werewolf versus the mummy. So werewolves exist in that uncomfortable space between human and animal. Cursed to transform when the moon dictates. Norse berserkers wore wolf pelts and channeled beast consciousness in battle. European folklore described men who became wolves under various conditions, always against their will, always tragic. The werewolf represents the animal self we pretend civilization has tamed. Under the right circumstances, under the wrong moon, the human mask slips and what's underneath remembers how to hunt. Silver became the prescribed remedy because it's pure, incorruptible, and the metal of the moon itself turned against the moon's curse. The mummy brings vengeance from antiquity. Egyptian priests understood death as transition rather than ending, taking elaborate precautions to ensure the deceased reach the afterlife intact. But disturb those preparations, violate the tomb, steal what was buried with purpose, and you've invited something ancient to wake. The mummy's curse isn't random misfortune. It's directed wrath from someone who had centuries to refine their hatred. Western archaeologists plundering Egyptian graves weren't just thieves. They were intruders into sacred space, and the curses documented in tomb inscriptions weren't superstition, they were warnings. Both operate under curse, but their mechanisms differ fundamentally. The werewolf's curse is cyclical, tied to lunar phases and celestial mechanics. Its nature asserting dominance over human pretension. The mummy's curse is targeted, intentional, the will of an ancient consciousness refusing to stay buried. The other makes you, one curse makes you a victim of cosmic timing. The other makes you the specific target of accumulated rage. When these patterns meet, we're watching deterministic cycles face directed vengeance, natural law versus concentrated will, which was the last fight we saw. And that gets us all up to date in all the places and all the things. Thanks again for being patient with me as we roll through this. A lot of information here. Like I said, check out the write-up if you're interested in more. There's a ton here, and it's really good. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It is as easy as that. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. What's up, my man? Thanks for popping in here and calling us from work as you usually do. What's going on? How are you tonight? And go right ahead. There's a lot here, a lot of things to tackle, a lot of things to really get after. And do you got a prediction of who's going to take this all down before we get into the call here?
It's tough. It's tough to predict. I think the celestial entity has like a pretty good chance. Just like I might be biased for celestial entities or old one type things, are just like cosmic eldritch horrors and stuff. It seems like they might be the number one slot if there's a bracket or whatever. But the witch is just an X factor. I feel like if it was like Mortal Kombat, if it was like Capcom versus DC or something like that, and they have to kind of like cap the powers of each character, so they're like the Flash. The Flash can time travel. He's so fast, but when you put him in fighting video games, you got to kind of he just kind of speeds around like Sonic. He's not a god like that. You got to kind of power cap him a little bit. So if the witch was power capped, I think the vampire might take it. I think the witch beats the vampire if the witch is capped. But if no cap, just chaos out there. In the Marvel universe, the Scarlet Witch can beat anyone. It's like can beat Thor. It's Dark Phoenix versus the Scarlet Witch, because the Scarlet Witch can literally do anything. It's like can Thanos with all the Infinity Stones beat the Scarlet Witch because she's so powerful, and who even knows, because she can warp reality and stuff. So with no cap, I might have to go witch. With a cap, I might have to go celestial entity. Straight out brawling, I think the vampire might take it though.
Yeah, vampire's a beast. No, you're good. You're good. The interesting thing to me when I was putting these brackets together is I was like, okay, so basically the witch and the celestial entity is, a witch would be the one to sort of tame that entity. So if the celestial entity went through a different bracket, would probably breeze to the finals until he met the witch, right? Or again,
Yeah, exactly.
it's difficult to say. So if they're kind of facing off in the same spot to start, then who really knows? Because nobody could really banish a demon or a djinn like that, other than anybody on this list, other than a witch. So I mean, it's certainly counterbalance in the first fight here. But don't let me ramble on. What else you got regarding any of this? There's tons here.
Is celestial entity just a demon or a djinn, or are we including like cosmic horrors, like old ones or elder gods? Or...
Yeah, I think it's unfair to say Cthulhu is in this bracket.
Exactly,
so it kind of let's top it. Let's cap him at like a djinn power or a demon power. Yeah.
Yeah. The demons is a djinn, it's an X factor if it can possess somebody. If it can possess the other characters, then it can really run amok. It's kind of like Cryptid Hunger Games. I like it. Cool. Just one quick meme I saw. It's pretty funny. It's like a tweet. It's like two tweets. I think the Monster Mash might be actually about an orgy. And the next tweet's, yep, just re-listen to it. It's definitely an orgy. And I haven't listened to it since then, but I think it's pretty funny if the lyrics fit the Monster Mash being a giant monster cryptid sex party. It's pretty funny.
Well, we're doing it tonight. No,
but and just for on the topic of like monsters battling it out, I think this is really cool. And like a lot of these are considered in pop culture the universal monsters. Like Universal has Frankenstein and the Wolfman, Dracula, all kind of the creature from the Black Lagoon, Phantom of the Opera, that type of stuff. But in like 2018, 2019, they tried doing their dark universe when they got like Russell Crowe and Johnny Depp and Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz and stuff. And the only movie that came out was The Mummy, and it bombed because Tom Cruise a Mummy movie, and it bombed. And it's kind of the warning to all studios, like don't like count your chickens before they hatch or whatever. You should put one movie at a time. Don't go out here and pitch a whole universe. And did a whole photo shoot with all these actors and stuff. But essentially, the Universal monsters are kind of dead. And I was thinking, like, how would I redo the Universal monsters? And I would do Universal Monster Hunters, where how do you like cryptids and like skinwalkers and wendigos and like real world quote unquote cryptids are like running wild, like the gates of hell have opened up, and the only way to stop these is for the government to enlist the real monsters. Or like, how do you fight a monster? You need a monster to fight a monster, so they get their Avengers or whatever, their Justice League of Dracula, the Phantom of the Opera, and that type of thing to go out and fight those monsters. I thought that'd be kind of cool, like a Justice League of monsters.
Yeah,
Universal Monster Hunters.
Yeah, and I was following that what you're describing too, how they were kind of trying to reboot all these ancient monsters, not ancient, but like the old 50s and 60s monsters, even back to the 40s. And they had I saw one of those. It was Tom Cruise. Was it The Mummy?
Mummy, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, and like some of it was good. It was actually had some elements.
It wasn't
that was
bad,
like, it wasn't terrible, but was it like enough to sort of just kick off an entirely new like saga of $200 million movies? I don't know if it was that good. Which is why we're here. They didn't do it. So. Yeah. And
I think it was like right at the beginning. Yeah, exactly. I think it was like right at the beginning. My internet might cut out a little bit, but it should pass. But yeah, I think it was kind of right at the beginning or before this current age of like actively everyone rooting for celebrities in Hollywood and these studios to fail. But it's kind of like they did a real prestige-y, real like wait till you see this type of photo shoot with all these A-list actors and stuff. So I think kind of the internet was ready to like, nope, not going to work, bombed. Like you're not the MCU at the time or whatever. But I think there's still life in them. As far as my favorite monster, like I was a vampire for Halloween a couple times. And this is during the age, like the late 90s, early 2000s, where there were a few kids in my high school who like wanted to be vampires and stuff, which I think is, I'm not sure if that's around as much anymore, but kind of South Park made fun of it back in the day. Like it was a time period, I think, like late 90s where vampire stuff was cool. So I didn't like vampires that much, but Buffy's one of my favorite shows. I'm a big superhero person, so vampires kind of have if you can become a good vampire somehow, you have the superhero kind of allure to it. Like the powers, like you look like a human, but you're like you can fight like Captain America or whatever, which I think is cool. But also kind of they can serve any medium. That you can kind of have your Twilight vampire. Which sidebar? I know I'm rambling too much, but I just watched the Twilight movies for the first time last week. I kind of binged them all. I thought I'd seen the first one, but I never had.
I don't know you anymore. We're not friends anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
They are trash. They're real bad. Like I didn't like.
Okay, we're friends again.
Time capsule. Yeah, it's just what a weird time capsule. Like I don't know how they were such a phenomena. Like I can kind of see why, but just good lord. But I you can kind of do that version of a vampire, or like the Buffy versions and stuff, or you can go kind of Nosferatu and go really scary. You can go Midnight Mass, where they kind of look like the demon angel things, or just you can go the elites are all bloodsuckers, the aristocrat thing you mentioned and stuff. They can fit like Batman. They can kind of fit. You can go campy with it, or you can go very, very gothic and dark. And I think that's cool, just as far as characters. But they don't scare me per se. And this isn't really a cryptid or a monster, but the thing that's always scared me, and I've never seen the movies, are the Hellraiser pinhead thing. Like that terrifies me. That just looking at thing, it seems like Clive Barker just drew that out of his dreams. Like that's something that exists in some gate of hell somewhere, the pinhead Hellraiser thing.
Yeah, was it like a box like that flew around and like cut people's heads off or something? What was that? It was like a relic in that movie. I saw him a long time ago. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, certainly the imagery there and the pinhead stuff scares the hell out of me just looking at it. You're right.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but it was on like Halloween costumes at like CVS back in the day when you're browsing for costumes and stuff, and it always gave me the creeps. And then I like learned what it's actually. I've never seen it, but I learned what they're actually about, and it's like these demon things that maybe were once people, or they're these like, I don't know, these weird demon people things who are all about pleasure and are like they want pleasure. So it's this weird sexual aspect to it, where if you are all about pleasure to the peak of it, then it gets into pain, and there's like the weird line between pain and pleasure, and it's all about like skinning people and having sex with people I don't know, it's dark, and it's like the worst thing to me. It's like Clive Barker is like, I don't want to be alone in a room with that guy. He seems like a monster. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really got. If you have any questions, I mean, I can link. I'm on break, so I don't want to ramble too much, but
no sweat. Good stuff here. I don't know. I think there's something to this. Like again, weird that you can kind of very well said with the vampire. They can kind of fit several different archetypes within this singular, ancient European vampire that kind of crawls out of the grave and is the bloodsucker. Yeah. And some of these other ones are kind of don't. They're direct smack dab in the middle of like the zombie. Kind of doesn't fit in any archetype other than sort of that the Walking Dead, the hunger for brains, and sort of that. Yeah. As I described earlier, it is weird how a lot of this stuff is fungible in some ways, and you're able to kind of make it whatever you want, but then some of the stuff is very not. So I think the more, and actually that's actually a great answer to the first question I asked tonight, and I'll ask you that, and let me get a roll up here in 1 second. So the first question was this: so which monster or archetype do you think best represents modern anxieties, and why? And I think for the reasons you listed, it's probably on this list again, because you just made such a great case in my mind for it, is the vampire, because they fit pretty much anything you want them to fit. That makes a ton of sense, at least to me. What about you?
I think so. And I think we definitely grew up in it with like the Anne Rice era and stuff. And Buffy's a direct descendant of all the Anne Rice stuff. So I think vampires have been the 80s and 90s and early 2000s were dominated by that. And I think probably still, but I think I think we're going into like, people would want to say we're entering the Wolfman stage, where people are going crazy. They're freaking out on planes. They're like, just the Search Karen videos are all kind of people freaking out at Walmart and just going, they seemingly like they're like possessed. So I guess you can say that's demon or celestial entity or whatever. But I think there's kind of a mystique to it, kind of similar to the vampire, where you're human for most of the time, but then sometimes you just freak out, and you can kind of skew that in like a masculine way, where I'm taking my shirt off, look at my hairy chest, oh my man, like I'm just gonna go into the woods and like Wolverine, just freak out. You can kind of do the sexier version, like Twilight had vampire, their big rivalry for vampires for werewolves, because they kind of have the same archetype. You can go really bestial with it. So I think if you were to poll people, wishful thinking, they would say we're like Wolfman stage, where people are just freaking out, people are going crazy, people are going feral again, like we talked about. But I think if you were to zoom out and kind of like unbiased, it's more zombie. I think like the media have been is always like, that's never gone away. People just love shooting zombies in Call of Duty or Left 4 Dead and stuff. The Walking Dead was a huge phenomena. And then I think just people are afraid of being mindless and kind of having their brains sucked out, or just not having control of themselves. Like and the phone, like the people staring at their phones and just kind of brain rot aspect of it. So I think people want to say it's Wolfman, where they're kind of freaking out a little bit, but it might be more like zombie, where they're becoming more mindless, with a hint of demon, where people come possessed a little bit and doing little freakouts, like empty. Like it's a fusion of like zombies and demons, where it's a bunch of empty shells walking around, looking at their phones, just trying to get to the day or whatever, and then but they're empty husks, and demons will pop into them, and they'll freak out on planes, or they'll freak out at TGI Fridays or something like that, to their waiters or something. That's a long ramble, but does that make sense?
Midnight at Walmart, the Walmart feral. That's a T-shirt right there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's all I really got. I can take off the.
Yeah, all good. We'll get to the next bracket. So before you go, then appreciate the call. Thanks for peeling out time from work, which is what we know you do. Thank you so much for that. We got the witch and the. I think we already asked you that.
I mean, I have a minute. I just don't want to. If it's a different show, I just don't want to like.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so let's get your predictions on the. Did you predict the witch and the demon already or no?
I'm gonna go with you. I think the witch can has the spells to bind the demon in some capacity.
Kind of stop.
But if it was Cthulhu, it's no chance. It's testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. We hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that if it was Cthulhu Celestial, I think that the witch will go in confident and believe that they have the spells to bind this thing. But then as soon as Cthulhu heads into the ring or into the portal, then they're going to be immediately eaten. But I think if we're depowering that and bringing it down to Jinn level, then I think the witch might be able to take it.
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, the same. Agreed. We'll see what happens, because it is coin flippy. I'm not generating this, but I think that celestial power can be earthbound by somebody with powers in that regard. What about this is the
what are the other ones?
So the wild card about the whole thing is which I have no idea what to expect. It's Bigfoot versus Mothman. What do you think there?
That's cool. I think Mothman takes it. I think Bigfoot is just I don't know. It's not powerful enough. It's the closest we have to an actual animal, which I think is why it resonates with people. It's the most possible because it's most animal. But I think in a fight that makes it the most susceptible to magic and powers and stuff. Unless we're talking interdimensional Bigfoot, which is a curveball. I think Mothman might be kind of the new cryptid of our day. Like I think we could be a Mothman age as far as what people are fascinated by. Like a mascot, not necessarily like what we're becoming. And I think it would be cool to see a vampire versus Mothman battle if it comes to that, kind of a Batman versus Man-Bat type of scenario, or like a cloak versus wings, or if it's a Midnight Mask type of vampire, it looks like a Mothman almost. I got a giant owl man or something like that.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I was looking at both sides of the bracket here. There's also like the bestial aspect. What if the werewolf skates to the finals and ends up fighting Bigfoot versus werewolf in the final? Like it is a feral Walmart all over again.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, if we did like a huge this is kind of like an elite cryptid 8, if we did kind of a full March Madness, which maybe a Troubled Minds March Madness of doing like blowing this out and doing 64 cryptids could be cool in different like regions. So you can have like the winged region where Mothman, like all these kind of flying things. You can have kind of the ethereal region, ghosts, demons, celestials, that type of stuff. You can do the animal ones, like Dogman, Wolf, like a whole bracket of just furry creatures, like Wendigo, Skinwalker, Dogman, Wolfman, Bigfoot, and then see what comes out. I think Bigfoot beats Dogman. Bigfoot beats a werewolf, maybe, possibly. That'd be a battle, but I don't think it gets out of the fur bracket.
For the fur bracket, the wings bracket. Yeah, if this goes over well and people want more of this, we will do more of this down the line. That's absolutely for certain. It was suggested when I was brainstorming. It's like you could do a whole series. I'm like, I don't know if people even like one, so let's try one first.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm picturing just like different superhero teams. Like there would be like a kind of how there's like the Avengers, but they also have the Defenders and the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the idea of like a whole crew of like fur beasts, like Wolfman, Dogman, Bigfoot, all that kind of stuff, all on a team. But it gets me thinking that Wolfman, I think, might be the weakest, and I don't want to hit Twilight again, but it's fresh in my mind. They're pack hunters. It's a wolf. So they're vampire killers in that series. Again, not a good series, very poorly written series, very, very. But a one-on-one fight, a vampire would tear its head off. but they travel in packs. So in a one-on-one bout like this, I think a wolfman might be might be the first to go, and a vampire could last a little longer. And I just got one quick. There's no ghosts, right? We don't have ghosts.
Yeah, there's no. Like I said, I thought about it, but I was like, it doesn't seem fair because how do you grab it and kind of choke it out or whatever? Like it's just not fair. So I left it out intentionally because it kind of can't phase in and you kind of can't phase to it. So maybe you just end up staring at each other, kind of having a conversation instead.
Yeah, that's the audience. It's actually a big ghost crowd, But I just heard one tidbit about ghosts, so I'll leave you with. I guess people like ghosts were solid. Ghosts were like the when the dead visited you, they were like more like zombies. They were more like people, fully formed. Like you would bump into them and stuff. And then they became ethereal once photography got into the mix. And the reason why people wouldn't smile in old photographs is because you have to it takes a long time to not render the photo. I'm trying to I can't blank on the term. For the photo to fully develop or whatever. And if you move, it creates this kind of like see-through version of you. So, or like if you were to get up halfway through the development of the picture, it will look like there's like you sitting down for like a ghost version, and then you kind of standing up as a ghost version of you, whatever. Or if you were sitting down stationary and somebody walked by the picture or whatever, it would be kind of a solid version of you with kind of a ghost in the back. People started seeing ghosts, like thinking that they were seeing ghosts in their photographs. And they were faking it on purpose, making it seem like intentionally. It became a huge art form to like create these ghosty pictures by doing this intentionally, messing with the development. And since then, ghosts are just see-through. Like that's part of you. Like you just said it. I'm right on board with you. Ghosts can't even get in this fight, but they can't touch anything. But that's over the last 200 years. That's in like the mid 1800s before cameras. Ghosts, you can punch a ghost and a ghost could punch you. Didn't think it was fascinating. But now if you see a ghost, shout out James. It's see-through. So kind of bringing it to how our perception of things affects the actual phenomena. I thought that was kind of cool. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And that old, again, taking forever to do the photos. I mean, imagine sitting there for, I don't know, what was an hour, 2 hours, whatever the hell long it took.
A while.
I fidget too much for even that to be, I'd be like just a blurry mess. But and the ghost kind of phasing through those things, that's the old way. The new way, we just put a ghost in our AI prompts, and we're good to go with a ghost in the back. So yeah, here's a picture of me at the forest. Yeah. Can you put a ghost behind me? It's like, here you go. This is what's coming. Strap in.
Exactly. All right, I'll take off though. I hope my internet wasn't too choppy.
No, you're good. You're good. Absolutely fine. Appreciate the call. Have a great night, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, bro.
Great call. You know him, you love him. That's Derek the Night Stalker. You know where to find him. TroubledMinds.org/friends. It is Night Stalker, STOCKER. He does call us overnight from stalking at a grocery store. Part of that invisible process I'm always talking about. Again, TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's under N. It says follow Night Stalker there. Go check out his YouTube channel. Go give him a follow, leave him a nice comment, and let's inspire him to make more content. He's all over the game and knows just an unbelievable amount because he's been following this stuff and thinking about this stuff forever. And he always blows my mind every time he calls, and I know he always blows your mind every time he calls. So he definitely deserves a free follow on his YouTube channel. Please go give him a follow, inspire him to do more stuff, and thank you for the call. Be right back. We got more coming up. As soon as we get back, I'm going to jump right into the next fight, and I've generated it and I skimmed it, and it is very good. It is basically frame this as a djinn. So it's going to be a witch versus a djinn coming up in the third bracket. Then we'll also do the Bigfoot versus Mothman. And then when we come back after the top of the hour, we'll get into the semifinals. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. See you in just one moment. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things, troubledminds.org/friends. Go follow all our friends in that place there, and let's spread the love. Tonight we're doing the Monster Mash, I'm calling this, where legends collide. Now, it doesn't have to be the monster itself. It could be the archetype of the fear the monster embodies, which is, very troubled mindsy, very, very me. It's kind of, I look at these things not just as a werewolf or a vampire, but more of the fear that sort of the entity is representative of, and how we've named it, and it's become a thing in not just modern culture but ancient culture as well. And it's all fascinating as hell to me. But let's get straight to it. So we're doing a bracket tonight of the Monster Mash. So the vampire and the zombie. First round, the vampire was victorious. As a recap, the werewolf and the mummy. The werewolf was victorious, so we'll have a semifinal with the werewolf and the vampire, which should be super hot. But right now we have the witch and the djinn. So I told it djinn / demon, so it picked djinn as the entity. So here we go. In the ruins of a Coptic church, sketched against the bloodshot moon, a witch waited by the cracked altar. The wind carried a tang of incense and storm. Her shadow flickered unevenly along the shattered mosaics, alive with whispering glyphs. Salt circles and char littered the floor where she had rehearsed her conjurations. The air congealed. From the hollow of the nave, a sound like dry laughter spilled out. A djinn emerged, coalescing from smoke and ember, his eyes the color of burned copper. He smelled of desert wind and forgotten vows. Old covenant breaker, she said, her voice steady, though her hands trembled slightly over the ash-marked sigils. You haunt the unclean, yet here you walk into sanctity. The djinn's voice rolled like a thunder caught in a jar. And you, the borrower of spirits, dare tether flame with chalk. He slithered forward, not walking, but swelling through the air. Firelight gathered around him, devouring the church's faint moon shadows. The witch countered with gesture and word, her lips moving through a rhythm older than Christianity. From her throat came the voice of her ancestors, a low hum resonating with the bones beneath the church. He struck first, a cyclone of heat lashing outward. Stone liquefied, her salt circle shattered. Say that 3 times fast. She whispered a reversal, calling to the buried waters below the church. Sweat rolled down her temples as vapor condensed overhead. And with a cry, she brought rain into being. Steam roared into life as the elements clashed, drenching them, both in fury. She snatched a shard of mirror from the floor, turning it toward him. The djinn's reflection shuddered inside, fragmented. For a heartbeat, he faltered, glimpsing himself imprisoned, bound to his own image. But his laughter cut through the illusion, echoing across centuries of conjurers who had failed before her. The witch drew deeper into her craft. Her hands blackened as she drew power through the soil, from roots, from smoldering saints, from grief itself. The djinn lunged, his burning arm closing around her. The scent of scorched silk filled the air, yet she smiled through the pain. Every flame she breathed has a wick. With the last of her strength, she revealed a charm hidden within her palm, a sprig of rue dipped in her own blood. She pressed it against his chest. The herb flared green, a cold that fire could not devour. His roar churned through the nave as light split him apart. Smoke, ember, silence. The witch collapsed to her knees. Dawn's first beam pierced a broken window, gold against the ruin. Where the djinn had stood, only a faint scatter of ash remained, etched with patterns like desert runes. She traced them once before gathering her satchel. Outside, the rain had stopped. The world smelled reborn, but her shadow no longer moved like it used to. Somewhere, in the shimmer of puddled light, it smiled independently before fading from sight. And there we go, part 3. So as we kind of guessed, this is like the counterplay. If you've got you put down the djinn card, you want the witch or the wizard or the conjurer to sort of counter that entity. Otherwise, you might be in big trouble. But so the witch comes out on top here. So we've got the vampire wins, the werewolf wins, the witch wins, and then we've got any takers on this on predictions on the actual. Bigfoot versus Mothman. I don't even know what to expect for that. I could kind of see the witch one coming, but it's super cool. Isn't this great that you can just kind of click the thing and it has like just this unbelievable amount of like kind of lore cooked into it because I prompted it to do that. But These things are getting smarter and smarter. And I'm exclusively using Perplexity these days because it is just that much smarter than the rest of them. It can do a ton of things all at the same time. Where I'm not so sure some of the other ones struggle a little bit. But anyway, what do you guys know about this? I'm calling this the Monster Mash tonight. And I've got stuff to get to from the write-up. And of course, we have to get to the Bigfoot versus the Mothman before we go to the break here. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. So what do you think? As we started tonight, the first question was, what is your favorite entity? Folklore, mythology, otherwise, and of course your favorite or least favorite archetypal fear. And beyond that, the question to start tonight was also, which monster or archetype do you think best represents modern anxieties? And we had a great conversation about that exactly with the Night Stalker. But what do you guys think? That becomes the question on my mind. Where are we at time wise? I think so. We gotta burn through. So once we do the bottom one here with the Mothman and Bigfoot. Then we've got the semifinals on both sides and a final. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more left. And we're about on time. We can do it at the top of the hour. So there's time if you guys want to jump in here and call. It won't rock the boat or anything. But here we go. So I'm gonna do this because this was where this, if you read the write-up or followed any of it, this is kind of where it drew this inspiration from as part of these two entities kind of facing off against each other. That larger context of the fear of what these entities represent. So here we go. The witch stands apart because she's human, or was, or chose something else entirely. That's what Pete was saying earlier. Folklore describes women, occasionally men, of course, who made pacts with darker powers, who learned to manipulate reality through ritual and will. The witch trials of Europe and America targeted anyone who seemed too knowledgeable, too independent, too strange. But beneath the persecution lies something genuine. Mystery school traditions across cultures taught that consciousness could be trained to perceive and influence reality in ways that looked like magic to the uninitiated. The witch represents forbidden knowledge, the understanding that reality's rules are more flexible than we're told. Demons come from every religious tradition that acknowledges spiritual hierarchy. Christianity categorized them as fallen angels, Islam as jinn who refuse to bow to humanity, older traditions as nature spirits turned malevolent or simply indifferent to human welfare. The demon operates outside physical laws because it exists primarily in other dimensions, manifesting here only when summoned or when barriers thin. Exorcism rituals across cultures share common elements because they're addressing the same phenomenon through different cultural frameworks. The demon is consciousness without material form, intelligence operating by rules we don't fully comprehend. So the matchup that just happened, that we just read, this matchup pits stolen fire against the source of flame. Prometheus versus the gods themselves. The witch learned to access power through study, ritual, negotiation with forces that predate human civilization. She is mortal but has acquired immortal knowledge. The demon is the force itself, never human, operating by rules that don't acknowledge our limitations. The witch knows the demon's true name, but the demon existed before names were invented. Which matters more, knowledge or essence? I'll leave it there. That's straight from the write-up. Like I said, the write-up's very good. Do check it out. I'm excited about this one tonight. And we started with, again, shout out Chef Pete for inspiring this. He kind of recommended this a couple weeks back. And it turns out in October of 2023, Axios did this where they did Chupacabra versus a skunk ape. But it was all based on vote. It was all based on people voting and what's your favorite. And I think, let's see, it got down to the final four. I'm not sure who actually won here, but the final four was, yeah. So it ended up being Chupacabra versus Mothman and Bigfoot versus the Jackalope. Like that was the final four, which seems like it seems less likely. I don't know, but interesting. The Mothman made the final four. So maybe our Mothman takes it down tonight. I guess we can find out. We can find out right now. If you guys have a take on this, any of this, love to hear your thoughts. As you know, we take this anywhere we like because that's what we do. It's our show. We just do what we want. I'm grown. I do what I want. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Love to hear what you think. And otherwise, we're going to get to Bigfoot versus the Mothman, which is, yeah, should be fire. Let me get this set up here. And we'll do that and generate this. And yeah, wild stuff here. And like I said, I didn't know what to expect myself other than, you know, kind of my Michael Strange wizard ways of you know, it's interesting, the folklore, how it kind of fits into the larger context of these conversations and plays. It still plays, even with the entities of large language models. Like we're sort of in lockstep with what we expect in, when it comes to these types of entities or fights or whatever. So that's that. Okay, so I'm gonna cue this up, and we'll get back in just a second here. But let me play just a quick little blurb here, so I can catch my breath, and we'll be right back in just a minute here. Let's actually play a quick blurb from the late great Terence McKenna, because I really like this, and I'll be right back with the next fight between Bigfoot versus the Mothman. Be right back. More Troubled Minds after a quick blurb from Terence McKenna. Be right back.
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race baiting, homophobia, famine, starvation. The mushroom said to me once, it said, "This is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse." And that's what we have, the fire in the madhouse at the end of time. This is what it's like when a species prepares to move on to the next dimension.
Or something like that, right? That's the late great Terence McKenna. Okay, back to the Monster Mash. Now I've got it set up so we've got Mothman versus Bigfoot. Predictions out there? Anybody in the chat? Who do you think is going to win this one? Does Mothman go all the way? And it is shock to everybody. What is going on? The main monster is missing from the list. Who's the main monster? Yeah, exactly. Who is it? Who are we missing? Okay. The Tartarian monster, the Titan from below. Okay, here we go. This is the encounter between Mothman and Bigfoot. There you go. Fog poured down the hollows of an abandoned Appalachian graveyard, clinging to crooked tombstones like memory reluctant to die. The moon hung low and red, swollen with omens. From the pine thick ridge came the sound of snapping branches and the wet thud of enormous feet. Bigfoot emerged through the mist, shaggy and monumental, eyes burning with primeval patience. His breath steamed like incense beneath the ancient trees. Above him the silence rippled. Mothman unfurled from the canopy, wide black wings catching what little light remained. His eyes, two crimson orbs alive with precognition, regarded the intruder not as prey, but as prophecy. Where Bigfoot embodied the forgotten earth, the weight of hidden valleys, Mothman bore the curse of forewarning, the omen of collapse. The air thickened between them. Bigfoot crouched, one massive hand pressing into the soil. He could feel the pulse of the land, old and stubborn, older than man or message. Mothman's cry, metallic and distorted, broke the quiet. Gravestones rattled. Bigfoot hurled a stone the size of a boulder. Mothman's wings folded inward, the projectile missing by inches, as wind pressure surged like a sonic tide. The graveyard became a storm of intention. Bigfoot lunged, tearing up saplings with his bulk. Mothman swooped low, claws raking across matted fur, a blur of feathers and red shimmer. The beast roared back, his fury shaking owls from the trees. He fought with the raw physics, muscle, leverage, instinct, while Mothman fought with angles and foresight, dodging before each blow landed, reading paths not yet taken. But foresight bore a cost. The longer Mothman glimpsed Bigfoot's next strike, the more his wings faltered, burdened by the weight of every possible outcome. Bigfoot sensed it, a primal understanding that vision can be blinding. He fainted, baiting reaction, then grasped a fallen iron cross from the earth and swung it wide. The blow caught Mothman square in the chest, knocking him through a rotted crypt wall. Moonlight burned through the dust. Bigfoot advanced, cautious but resolute. Mothman staggered up, chest pulsing with eerie light, attempting to launch, but one wing dragged, torn by stone. The seer was grounded. Bigfoot's shadow loomed immense as the graveyard fell quiet once more. One final roar shook the pines, echoing through mist and memory. When at last the silence returned, only the scent of rain remained. Bigfoot stood over the broken crypt, panting, then lowered his gaze. The red eyes still glowed faintly, not in hatred, but in warning. He turned and disappeared into the forest's dark heart. By dawn, the graveyard was whole again. No tracks, no feathers, only a cracked cross pointing east, and 2 faint red lights fading with the light of morning. There it is. Bingo. And Bigfoot emerges triumphant. All right, so we got in the bracket, we've got, again, completely generated outside of me. I'm doing this in real time. We've got the vampire beat the zombie. We've got the werewolf beat the mummy. The witch beat the djinn or the demon. And then we've got Bigfoot beat Mothman. It seems as if things are proceeding exactly as we have foreseen, kind of, unless Mothman was going to be the one to take it all. But now we have coming up, we've got the vampire versus the werewolf, and then we have the witch versus Bigfoot. That ought to be hot. That ought to be hot. But yeah, tons of stuff here to talk about. And like I said, this is pretty cool that they did this, like a whole voting aspect of this back in 2023 on Axios. I'm not an Axios fan, by the way. A lot of these modern media sites are just garbage. But if you're going to do cool stuff like this, I'll give you a prop here or there. So props to these guys for doing this back when they did. Sarah Wise and Kavya Behraj is the authors that did this thing. But it was all votes, so it wasn't really simulated or anything to that degree. But anyway, did anybody see Bigfoot defeating Mothman? I wasn't sure what to expect at all. But so what do we have? So we got the semifinals coming up, and more of you guys if you have some ideas on this. And back to the original question: what is your favorite entity of folklore? What is your favorite entity of not just, let's say, the archetypal fear, your favorite or least favorite? And the original question was, which monster or archetype do you think best represents modern anxieties and why? Which seems like a college question, right? But then also, what about personal monster stories or dreams, which the Robert started us out with as well, or which archetype they relate to most? But in this particular space, as we're kind of fighting these monsters out and kind of, doing this in the fantasy perspective that we do, the question really becomes, what happens when 2 of these archetypes are forced into direct conflict? Because when we're looking at ourselves in the sense of Carl Jung and that idea of the shadow self and all the things we've talked about, kind of confronting the shadow and the shadow work as it's been known, and then these other ideas, these archetypes that are fear manifest. So sort of outside the human space, when these things do come together and face off, what does that look like? So, for instance, the vampire versus the zombie, werewolf versus mummy, which we did, all the rest of this stuff. But how about their abilities and vulnerabilities shaping the outcomes we expect in folklore or in our psyche? How it all comes together. It's incredible to think about. But like I said, it's as usual. I even thought about doing this by D&D rules and pulling, kind of the D&D entities. But it's not fair because a vampire and a zombie aren't really in the same league, depending on the generation of D&D you're playing. So you would need, multiple zombies to kind of even out against a vampire type of thing, depending on, hit dice and the levels and all this stuff. So I don't know. I thought it was probably more fun to just do it mano a mano and the showdown versus this entity versus that entity. But yeah, pretty cool stuff so far. And it's kind of going about as I expected. And again, I didn't rig the rules. I didn't tell it this or that or anything else. Like I said, I even tried to go as deep as stat cards, like basic stat cards for each of these things, and their strengths and weaknesses. But it's just too much. I probably bored you guys enough as it is. Going into like the D&D weeds of how the mechanics and stuff might work in combat is, let's just read the story instead. So anyway, lots to talk about, lots to think about. What else do I got? So there's a lot of this stuff that came out as part of the research, right? So what stereotypical Halloween monster is legitimately the strongest? This is on Reddit. Shout out Reddit out there, the sewer of the internet. But there's a bunch of stuff here. Werewolf and vampire, top 7 most powerful mythical beasts, which again, I pulled this up because I wanted to make sure we didn't do, put dragons into this. I mean, that's not fair, right? But this is from dragonsandbeastslive.com, top 7 most powerful mythical beasts. And I'm not sure what it's based on, but dragons are number 1, trolls are number 2. Then it's got griffins, basilisks, hydra, unicorns, and amaroks. So I'm going to read this one because I don't know this, but in Inuit folklore, amaroks are gigantic wolves that hunt alone. Their size means they have super strength and exceptional endurance, and they will devour anyone foolish enough to hunt themselves by themselves at night. One story endows Amaroks with the ability to take a human soul from their body. And there you go. So I'm not sure where this comes from. It says Dragons and Beasts, Mythical Beasts Live or whatever. So it might be from a video game. But anyway, whatevs. But tons of information here if you're into more of these, powerful monsters ranked and stuff. Like I said, I didn't take this stuff into account other than it was part of the research kind of drumming up the idea of which monsters we should put together and all the rest of it. But anyway, that's what's going on tonight. I got tons here to talk about, and I'll get to should I get to the write-up of that one? I think I should. Let's see. Which was weaknesses, rituals. We'll get to that in a second here. Yeah, let's get back to the write-up here. So the Bigfoot fight. Let me read this. And then we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll get into the semifinals and hopefully get calls from you guys. What do you know about these mythical creatures? What about the archetypes of the creatures themselves and what fear versus fear would actually mean? Let's go. So Bigfoot represents the unknown that persists despite satellites and surveillance. The possibility that massive creatures still evade detection in wilderness areas. Native American traditions describe Sasquatch as people of the forest, sometimes dangerous, sometimes helpful, always apart from human civilization. Modern sightings cluster in Pacific Northwest forests where old-growth canopy creates vast areas of deep shadow. The creature appears in blurry photographs and reliable witness accounts, but never quite resolves into definitive proof. Some researchers suggest interdimensional phasing, as was mentioned by Derek, and shout out APOC. APOC and I did a show on Bigfoot a long time ago. Check that out. It's very good. We talked about the interdimensional phasing bit. Others point to biology and terrain that favors concealment. Bigfoot might be the last megafauna we haven't cataloged, or it might be something that chooses when and how to be seen. Again, archetypes, right? Mothman emerged in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1966, heralding the Silver Bridge collapse that killed 46 people. And that part's a true story. The Mothman part, mileage may vary. But anyway, witnesses describe a 7-foot creature with wings and glowing red eyes, appearing in the weeks before disaster struck. Similar entities appear in folklore worldwide as harbingers, omens manifesting before catastrophe. The Japanese have their tengu, Native Americans their thunderbirds, European traditions their black dogs. Some witnesses report telepathic contact, premonitions, and a sense of doom preceding the bridge failure. Mothman might not cause disaster. It might simply perceive probable futures more clearly than linear human consciousness allows. The seer archetype, right? Both occupy the cryptid space, but they're opposites in function. Bigfoot evades detection, maintaining mystery through deliberate concealment. It exists in present tense, hidden but physical, flesh and blood refusing to be cataloged. Mothman appears before disasters, exists partially in future tense, operates across time in ways that make witnesses question whether they're seeing prophecy or causing it through observation. The old quantum bit, right? When the hidden present confronts the visible future, does being unknowable or knowing the unknowable confer advantage? And apparently, and this is from straight from the write-up, but apparently Perplexity thinks that it's the former rather than the latter. Wait, did I do that right? Does being unknowable or knowing the unknowable confer advantage? Yeah, being unknowable, I guess. Anyway, that's puts us where we need to be just about before we take a break here. Like I said, love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Do you like the format? Do you like the mono a mono versus these monsters and the monster mash? And like I said, I'm dealing with working with formats because I want to do fun stuff, but I don't want to just do the same thing over and over again and just more and more weird ideas. It's turning me into a I mean I'm a weirdo, but you know what I mean? Like how weirdo do you want to be? Anyway, but that's what's going on tonight. So we got the semifinals coming up, the vampire versus the werewolf. That should be hot. And then we've got the witch versus Bigfoot. That should also be hot. And then the finals will be, well, whatever they shall be. Sarah, as they say, right? I think that puts us where we need to be. Tons of stuff here. And we'll get to the archetypes of the weaknesses of these monsters too. Sort of the folkloric aspect of it and how not just it's emblazoned in us as, we look at this bracket and we're like, this is kind of silly, kind of fun. But then also we do really kind of know what to expect from it based on the hierarchy of archetypes in our minds, in our hearts and our souls as part of humans, right? The human tradition. So it didn't surprise me. I'm not surprised by any outcome other than I didn't know what to expect from Mothman. But apparently, and this is again completely speculative because me, philosophical constructs and all, it's possible to bog the seer down with too many possibilities. How about that? Maybe not. Somewhere in between. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Trying something new tonight. Mano a Mano, the Monster Mash. It's about that time. We're, a few days from Halloween here. All Hallows Eve as we march inexorably on. Who wins? Is it the vampire? Is it the werewolf? Is it Bigfoot? Or is it the witch archetype? Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I'm calling this the Monster Mash for obvious reasons. You guys know the song, you do the mash, you do the Monster Mash. But in this case, where legends collide, we're talking about the archetypes of these folkloric monsters. Now, to me, that is far more fascinating. Well, I mean, I guess that's unfair to say because the entities themselves are, they're poignant. They are eternal. These are ancient entities that have been, drawn from all over the world of our own anxiety, our own human anxiety. And, you decide whether you think this stuff is real or not, the folklore or whatever in different parts of the world. That's not my game. My game is to look at this as sort of through the human prism, that human lens, and consider why we have sort of these perceptions of these entities and why we could even probably kind of eyeballing the actual bracket here, predict who might win this. I mean, so far I haven't been surprised other than the weird Mothman fight because I didn't know what to expect there. But yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me. As usual, there's a lot here to talk about, a lot to consider. But in the archetype space, it is in this particular case, think of it this way, is that for all the gifts that these entities have, and I guess that means people too, which is, again, we're people, and this is why people talk to each other and grow and learn and change and all the things. But there's these legendary entities with these legendary powers from folklore. They have these also legendary weaknesses, whether it's going to be iron, whether it's going to be silver, whether it's going to be the sunlight, there's always some way to defeat these evil archetypes, which is interesting because you can't be all powerful in all the ways. Otherwise, it's almost as if you're breaking some sort of larger universal law, right? You're OP, or as the kids say, and maybe not just the kids, but which means overpowered in the video game space, or even in Dungeons and Dragons, or these type of tabletop games. They say, in modern D&D, the barbarian is OP, overpowered, or whatever. So we did again with APOC, and that was with Axel, and we did a whole thing a ways back where it was super cool, but I was playing the barbarian and I just whooped everybody's ass all the way through the thing. So a little overpowered, right? But as usual, without balance, it seems like the cosmic balance is part of this, and you can't be too powerful without some sort of maybe even obvious weakness. So anyway, it seems like it's a psychological and spiritual thing where every monster or every entity with a gift pays a price for that gift with some other sort of archetypal weakness. Again, silver, sunlight, all the rest of this stuff. So look, I don't know. It is strange that, and amazing all at once that all of this stuff fits the world over. It fits like a glove. Back to, Joseph Campbell. I'm always talking about Carl Jung, the archetypes, the hero with 1,000 faces. We're telling the same story over and over and over again, just with different faces, different ideas, different actual identities. And so what does it mean? That becomes the real bit, right? And let's see. So real rituals, folk remedies as examples of humanity's effort to reclaim agency against this archetypal danger, which is cool, which is why the witch might actually play heavily into this. So we're going to get to the vampire versus the werewolf in just a minute here. And then we'll get to the witch versus a Bigfoot and then slay it there. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you guys like the format? Again, feedback on the show. What do you think about the bracket? Do you got a prediction on whether Bigfoot's going to defeat the witch or the werewolf is going to defeat the vampire? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. But here we go. So back to this. Let me read this little blurb from the write-up and then set this bit up with, we'll do the vampire versus the werewolf, and we'll keep on trucking here. Lots of things to get to. Lots of things to do. 1 second here. Let me grab the prompt. Move it over to a new window so it doesn't, kind of spoil the other thing, keep it unspoiled together. And then we'll write up the thing of 1 second. 1 moment, please. 1 moment. Damn it. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. Okay. There we go. All right. So the vampire versus the werewolf. Here we go. I'm going to generate this as I read you the little blurb. Okay. Yep. Yes, I do type that slowly. Okay. Okay, so that's good. It is generating now. Now back to this. Now, as I was saying, right? So every monster carries these specific weaknesses because vulnerabilities define the archetypes as much as the powers do. Vampires burn in sunlight because they've rejected natural cycles. Werewolves fall to silver because they've corrupted the moon's pure metal. Mummies fear fire because they've preserved what should decay. Demons recoil from holy symbols because they've rejected divine order. Witches remain human and fragile despite accumulated power. Bigfoot can still be wounded. Mothman, despite prophetic sight, couldn't prevent the collapse it foretold. And its own collapse. These vulnerabilities aren't random. They're built into the archetypal structure, the shadow side that balances the power. Immortality costs the vampire its ability to exist in daylight. The werewolf gains strength but loses control. The mummy gets revenge but remains bound to its tomb. The demon wields cosmic power but can be banished by simple salt. The witch masters reality manipulation but stays trapped in mortal flesh. The cryptids remain forever on the margins, never fully entering consensus reality. You see? Like there's always a trade-off, a give and take to a power. So you gain something, it's almost as if you have to lose something as part of it, as part of the alchemical process, right? So we'll get to that. We'll get to the rest of this in a sec, but I've got the actual bit generated up of the vampire versus the werewolf, which is probably the one we've all been waiting for, to be honest. What do you guys know about it? You got predictions on who's going to win this one or who's going to win the witch versus Bigfoot? I'm looking forward to that as well. And then, of course, the final, how weird does this get? Do we get a werewolf versus the witch face-off, a Bigfoot versus the vampire? I don't know. And what does it look like? I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Otherwise, I'm going straight to Bigfoot. Bigfoot. Here you go. Sorry, no, not Bigfoot. The werewolf and the vampire. Here we go. Moonlight shone through the cracked rose window of the abandoned church, painting the nave in silvery veins. The pews were rotted. The altar toppled. And at its base stood the vampire, pale as frostbitten marble. His red eyes caught the candlelight flickering from a row of melted stubs he'd lit himself, symbols to mock the sanctity of his fallen faith. The scent of old blood and stone filled the air. From the shattered doorway came a low growl that carried through the nave like thunder rolling over graves. The werewolf stepped into view, fur bristling, shoulders thick as gravestones, eyes amber with ancient rage. Beneath the full moon pouring through the roof, his breath smoked like a forge, his claws gouging the old floorboards. They had hunted each other across centuries. The vampire, an aristocrat of death. The werewolf, nature's wrath given flesh. Silence stretched, thick as fog between them. The vampire spoke first, his voice as velvet and venom. Still, the beast thinks claws will conquer eternity. The werewolf answered with a lunge. Oak splintered as it slammed into the vampire, driving him through the altar. Marble fragments scattered like teeth. The vampire rolled with inhuman grace, landing in a crouch. Fanged lips curved into an icy grin before he vanished into a blur of movement. He reappeared behind the beast, raking his sharpened nails through fur and flesh. Black blood hissed where it touched the earth. The werewolf wheeled around faster, Then mortal eyes could follow, tearing a pew from the ground and hurtling it end over end. It caught the vampire mid-leap, snapping ribs that reknit before the vampire hit the ground. Hissing, the creature of night retreated into shadows, body reforming, strategy shifting. He drew upon guile now. His kind had always thrived on patience while the beast burned through fury. The church bells, long silent, swayed and rang out from the tower. The sound maddened the werewolf. He pounded the floor and howled, the vibration shaking loose dust from every beam. Yet that sound, a pure tone of forgotten sanctity, seared the vampire's heightened ears. The wolf saw his opening and struck. He bounded forward, driving both claws deep into his opponent's torso and flinging him into a wall of stained glass. Shards fell like frozen rain. The vampire struck back with desperation, seizing a blade of glass and plunging it into the werewolf's chest, seeking the heart. But no glass could kill the wild soul. Snarling, the wolf crushed the vampire's wrist, driving him back. Sunlight from the rising dawn cut through the east window, pale and fatal. The vampire's eyes widened, comprehension spreading like fear. The beast saw that flinch, that mortal hesitation. With one last burst of primal might, the werewolf tackled him into the growing light. The vampire's skin blistered, smoke curling upward with a smell like burning incense. One final hiss escaped the dying noble before he withered to ash against the cracked altar. The church fell quiet. The werewolf staggered, breathing hard, the silver bell tone still reverberating faintly above. When the last ember of the vampire's body drifted away, the wolf turned his face toward the dawn. For an instant, his eyes softened to human sorrow. Then he vanished into the forest beyond, leaving paw prints steaming in the dew. Who saw that coming? I didn't. That was coin flippy. This stuff needs to be turned into AI videos now. That's how crazy this is. Yeah, okay, so we've got our first entry into the finals, and that's going to be the werewolf, who defeated not just the mummy, but also defeated the vampire, and is now going to face off against either the witch or Bigfoot, which should be pretty interesting itself. What do you guys think? I don't know. Like I said, feedback. Do you like the format? Do you like stuff like this? Do you like me being creative to the nines and just trying to do things differently? Or is it exhausting? And you're like, Mike, stop it. Like, whatever. As usual, like, that's the whole point of this. I know 2/3 of the stuff I do is massively cringe. Okay. It's fine. I'm here for it. And I know you guys are too, and it's okay. So, but let's get better. Let's do cool stuff. Let's challenge ourselves and maybe be creative enough to, well, I don't know, maybe one day create true art together. You tell me. Anyway, let me catch my breath, and I'll be right back with we got the exciting conclusion. We got one more. We got an entry into the final, which is the werewolf, which is going to face off again. Is it the Fur League, as Derek the Night Stalker was saying? It's going to be Bigfoot versus the witch that's going to face off against the werewolf in our little bracket here of weirdness. The bracket of weirdness I'm calling the monster match tonight. But instead, let's take a quick break and get a word from our other sponsor. In this case, that's going to be the Stoic Minute. So let me find this button here. I've got all the things set up, and they don't always work. Like, I've got all the MIDI triggers and stuff, and it's just kind of a pain in the ass sometimes because it takes you... Anyway, whatever. Let's do this. Be right back. More Troubled Minds in just 1 minute. And like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts instead of me rambling on, but I'll be here all night. I'm doing it anyway. So catch you on the other side of the break. Be right back in exactly 1 minute after the Stoic Minute. See? Damn it. Where is it? There it is. Buttons don't work. MIDI triggers, come on. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Thank you to Jack for sponsoring the show. Okay, the Monster Mash. We got one final semifinal to get to. The werewolf has advanced to the finals, and in the other bracket we've got the witch versus Bigfoot, which should be incredibly interesting, which I'll read in just a second. But I'd rather hear from you guys, because that's the whole point of this, is to talk to people and share wild ideas by dark of night, as I like to say. So I'll get this queued up. The next fight, which is going to be the witch versus Bigfoot, and we'll get to that either at the bottom of the hour or right immediately if we don't have any calls. Nobody on the line. If you guys want to jump in here, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. As usual, you got predictions. What do you think of the format? Do you like doing creative stuff like this, sort of a generative AI on the fly? Or do you think this is kind of cringe and stupid? As usual, all of it plays, and it's okay by me to be either way or be critical or whatever. Like I said, I'm not the I don't know. Like I like to say, my ego is fine either way. You're not going to hurt my feelings. If you're like, Mike, this kind of sucks. Yeah, it's fine. I get it. But I was interested in it, and I think it's a fantastic idea. And have you ever imagined what would happen if a witch fought Bigfoot? Because I have. At least tonight I have. So one more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's generate the witch versus the Bigfoot and set up the final for the final segments. And see, eight entities is good. And we could do this from all over folklore and stuff. We could do dragons or all manner of things. This is kind of cool, like I said. And I don't even know the outcome, which is as exciting for me, I hope, as it is for you, because here we go. Let's do the witch versus Bigfoot, generate this bad boy, and let's see what happens as part of it. But let's see, what else have I got to get to? Okay, here we go, actually. So tonight's tournament forces these patterns out of isolation, the balance, right? When you have the space of power, there's also a weakness that comes with it in the folklore aspect of these things, and deep magic from the dawn of time, like I like to call that. But when archetypes collide, when the structures humanity uses to organize its fears start interacting according to their own internal logic rather than cultural separation, we learn something about what actually frightens us. It's not the individual monsters, it's the possibility that the boundaries we've drawn between different kinds of darkness might be artificial, that all these patterns might be different expressions of the same underlying truth about consciousness, mortality, and the things that exist in spaces we haven't mapped, which has always been what Troubled Minds has been about. And think about it, even way back, I was saying things like, look, an alien and Bigfoot are indistinguishable until you get them, in a zoo next to each other. And not suggesting you should put everything in a zoo, but it's just a way to describe that until you can kind of put your hands on something, it's ephemeral. It is not of this realm, not of this earth. And so until we can quantify it directly, then what are we dealing with? And I think that the definitions we give these things are more archetypal than they are direct and specific, even though they take direct and specific form with vampires and werewolves and the rest of this. So yeah, anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. What's up, Jay New York? I see you there. Gaston, what's up? Okay, let's do it. Let's read the other semifinal, setting up the final segment, which will have the finals, which will be the werewolf versus either the witch or the Bigfoot. You got predictions? Predictions in the chat. Let's see them. What do you think is about to happen? Let's read it and find out. The witch versus Bigfoot. Here we go. The moon hung swollen over the pines, its light crawling through the mist that moved like breath. Beneath it, the ruins of an old chapel leaned half swallowed by forest. Moss crept over its stones, and the graveyard behind hummed with whispers from the half-forgotten. In the clearing stood the witch, black skirts brushing dead leaves, eyes gleaming with the cunning of forgotten tongues. She had come to call spirits to heal, to claim dominion where wilderness still rebelled. But the forest, ancient and aware, had other guardians. A shape peeled from the tree line, towering, fur-matted with dew and earth. Fur-matted, not formatted, fur-matted with dew and earth. Bigfoot's eyes glowed with quiet anger. This was his territory, older than crosses or graves. The wind shifted. The witch's voice slipped into the air like smoke, tracing sigils invisible to mortal sight. Corvids stirred overhead, their cries sharp and prophetic. Bigfoot crouched low and beat the ground with one enormous hand, sending a shudder through the soil. His presence warped the night's rhythm. The forest itself seemed to listen to his heartbeat. The witch raised a hand. From her nails spilled sparks of sickly green fire that hissed as they touched damp air. She chanted words that bent roots to her will, turning the forest floor into writhing snares. Bigfoot grabbed a fallen log, using it to tear through rope-like vines. He moved with sudden blinding speed, a beast's intuition cutting through her careful designs. The duel became contrast, her intellect and preparation against his brute instinct and raw connection to the living world. Lightning flashed, but it came from her fingertips. She hurled it toward him, its glow casting both in stark, otherworldly relief. The witch's angular frame and crimson mouth, the beast's silhouette like a mountain, come alive. Bigfoot roared, a sound that scattered the crows. As her spell struck, he seized a tombstone and raised it as a shield. Stone cracked, flames sputtered, and the witch faltered for a heartbeat. In that moment, he closed his distance. He struck with claws that carried forest strength, not hatred, but inevitability. The witch screamed words of power that snapped bones in distant graves, calling spirits to her defense. But they hesitated. His primal presence was older than their curses. He lifted her as easily as a broken branch and hurled her through the rusted gates of the chapel. Inside, the witch's laughter turned hollow. She was fading, the earth reclaiming her essence. In her final breath, she whispered a curse into the roots beneath the chapel, a promise of return when the forest burns. Bigfoot stood over the ruins, watching the crows settle once again on cracked stones. He touched one claw to the ground as if sealing the ward she had broken. Silence fell. The forest exhaled. The witch was gone. The guardian remained, watching the stars filter through smoke, returning at last to shadow among the trees. I guess we do have an all-fur face-off. We've got a werewolf versus a Bigfoot in the final, as Bigfoot takes the East bracket. Did you see that one coming? I'm not sure I saw that one coming either. I wasn't sure what to expect. And this is the cool part of it. As usual, like this is just sort of like rolling dice or whatever, but it's a generative AI kind of coming up with the stuff on the fly. Jay says Bigfoot all the way. Maybe, right? Maybe. So we got the all fur final coming up, which is going to be the werewolf versus Bigfoot. And of course, the primordial monster of pure strength, and one sort of being a nature spirit of sorts, and one being sort of a bastardization of nature and the light of the full moon. Yeah, interesting, right? Pretty cool how these kind of archetypes do come together in this space, and you're able to kind of look at it from those perspectives. At least I am, and I know you guys are way smarter than me, so you certainly see it, and that becomes the point here. Like, how weird is it? How cool does it get? And Real JB says, my money's on Bigfoot. There it is. And Bigfoot did it. Yeah, what's up? Real JB, thank you over on Rumble, says this has been a very interesting and original show tonight. Well done, Mike. Thank you. Just shout out to Pete. Pete's the guy who gave me the idea. And this is the type of stuff, like I said, that for all the AI haters out there, there's, I think when this gets put together, I'm going to cut out the commercials and stuff, and you guys listen to the podcast tomorrow or whenever you do down the line in the future. This is the type of stuff you can do sort of on the fly to create whatever you want on the fly. You can just do things. And in the past, this stuff was impossible, sort of the choose your own adventure radio show type stuff. But now suddenly we're going to be able to create custom apps that'll do this stuff on the fly, and you guys can vote real time and sort of, steer the narrative on what comes next. And like, that's the future. That's the future of the internet. It always has been. David Bowie was talking about that before he passed a long time ago, back in like the 2001 or whatever. He was describing the internet as an alien entity, as the line between the performer and the audience would blur to the point where everybody was performing together. And so here we are. So eventually I'll get apps put together so we can just vote on this stuff and kind of guide where the conversation goes. You want me to talk about this or this? We'll go to that instead. Of course, the way we do it is just a call instead. You can just call and tell me this or that, and that's the point. But love to hear your thoughts. We got the final coming up of the Monster Mash, where legends collide. It's going to be the all-fur final, which I didn't see coming. Bigfoot versus the werewolf. Who do you think wins? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Be right back. More on the way. Looks like we got Jay in New York and your calls as well. And the conclusion of the Monster Mash. See you on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. All the things, all the places. The Monster Mash tonight, where legends collide. Now, you know me. I like to look at things as fractals. Not just a vampire as a ghoul from the past that sucks blood, but as the aristocratic presence of a parasitic idea within the human mind. And of course, within the human physical space. It's an interesting thing when you sort of break these ideas down to Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell and look at them a little differently and then challenge them against each other. What happens when you pit fear against fear? That's what I want to know. We're talking the Monster Mash tonight. If you've been listening, thanks for staying up late and dealing with my nonsense, because I got a ton of that. But we began with the bracket of the Monster Mash of the vampire versus the zombie, the werewolf versus the mummy, the witch versus the jinn or demon, and the Bigfoot versus Mothman. And chased it down to the exciting conclusion, which will be the all-fur final of werewolf versus Bigfoot. Who do you think wins? And once again, the natural world of Bigfoot is the guardian of the ancient oak, or sort of the cursed version of himself, the inversion. Yeah, supernatural power instead of natural power. Strange. Odd how these things kind of come together. Who do you predict, Bigfoot or the werewolf? And as usual, as I said, the place where this happens and the time certainly has the home field advantage aspect to it. And you could probably change all this to different places or times and have the outcomes be different. But they both meet in the forest, obviously. Is it a full moon, et cetera, so on? I see you guys in the chat. Thanks for being cool and chill. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to Jay in New York. What's up, brother? Been a minute. Welcome to the joint. How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
I'm great, Mike.
Right on.
I'm really enjoying it. It's fun.
Thank you.
You know, I piddle in my garage and make stuff, and it's like, this is funny. Originally, I had Mothman and the Mummy, because I figured the vampire would win against the werewolf hands down, but I left out the daylight thing. You know, long fight. Day's coming. Damn it. But I don't know. I got my money on Bigfoot. I'm curious.
You got money on Bigfoot, which is the natural order, right? Versus the supernatural order, the cursed version. I mean, I never thought of it this way, and we could probably kick this down the road for another time. But Bigfoot and a werewolf are basically the same thing. One is cursed, and one is sort of a natural protector, the guardian of the earth. And so,
yeah, like the planet wins.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm going to go. The wholesome aspect of this is Bigfoot defeats the cursed entity, which is the werewolf. But who knows?
So when we win, we're going to get like 75 cents for our dollar. Because the odds went the other way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Well, we got 3 Bigfoots right now, right?
What do you mean 3?
3 votes for big. Well, I mean, I've been looking at the chat and everything else like that, and we got 3 for the Bigfoot. I mean, where are we standing right now? How are we going to put the money down? You got $1, Mike? Who are you putting your money on? Bigfoot?
Yeah, I think I would
I'll put mine on the.
I'm going
All
Bigfoot.
right, if you're going to pick Bigfoot, I'll pick werewolf just for the sake of the bet.
For the sake of the bet. All right. And the odds are still 75 cents to me and $1.25 to you.
And you got to say it like Sunday, the all for final.
There you go. Right. I almost had it like set up where I was going to have like and in this corner, hailing from Transylvania. I was going to do all that. I was like, come on, Mike. It's already cringe enough without doing
What was
stuff.
What was that guy's name? Back when we were kids, Hulk Hogan and all those guys back then.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Mean Gene and all kinds.
Well, I mean, but the announcer guy, I mean, he was like in his own little spot too.
I have no idea. I barely remember the wrestlers' names. Let alone that guy. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm like, we had to ride our bikes over to the one kid that had HBO in the neighborhood, and
yeah, exactly.
Pray to God they'd let us stay there late. Yep.
The 80s were a time, that's for sure.
It's funny.
Yeah, indeed. So you like the format? You like the weirdness, the unpredictability?
I think it's great, but I'm not good at this, the whatever you call this, the Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, because I always collect firewood, and the last time I played the game, I ended up in prison indefinitely.
Oh, that's right. You were playing with us, and we ended up in prison. That was my bad decision. But I'm a barbarian. I just find my way out of everything. So
that's all right. So prison, whatever, can't be that bad. Books to read, some cool.
3 squares a day. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, no sweat. Yeah,
better than paying taxes.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how rough it is inside. If you're the Epstein people, that you got the easy prison, which seems weird, right? I mean. Just saying, not to get weird and to peel this off to another place, but yeah, I guess it depends on how bad it is on the inside. Yeah. What else you got? The archetypes or anything else that, as you know, take it anywhere you like.
No, I don't know. I'm curious as to see how it works out. I really am. I got my money on Bigfoot just because I don't know. I always like Bigfoot. He's also the Ohio grass man and all that.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
The Florida
Everybody
skunk
talks about Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm going to add an additional to this prompt to have it be the epic finale of the final. So this may be a little longer than the others. So let's try this, and we'll get it set. And Bigfoot versus the werewolf for the final itself, the grand finale. And in this corner, hailing from the Pacific Northwest, weighing in at 688 pounds, the Sasquatch. Why not, right? Let's see. Okay.
Wasn't it that guy that did the lifestyles of the rich and famous? Wasn't he the guy?
No, Robin Leach? Robin Leach. No, that's a different guy.
I think he was the guy that announced the guys that were coming into the ring as they came in.
No, I think you're conflating things. Unless I'm wrong, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's the same guy at all.
And just, I don't know, that was, 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
40 years ago. We're getting old, Jay.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, here we go.
But I don't know. This will be a good fight.
The all-fur final. Okay. Yeah, here we go. All right.
The all-fur final, Sunday.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Place your bets. Windows close in 10 minutes.
Exactly. So who's got who? Werewolf or the Bigfoot? That's what I want to know. And like I said, do you like this? Like I said, I'm not going to do this all the time. I won't do the choose your own adventures all the time, but it's kind of nice to just do something different and not, you do the same thing every day and it feels like you're punching a time clock, and that's just not. It's just not fun. Less fun. And I know if I'm having not as much fun, you guys are not having as much fun. So yeah. Anyway, so appreciate the call. What else you got? Or otherwise I'm going to read this thing and we'll get to the bottom of who wins the monster
let's
match.
see what happens here.
Okay. You want to sit there and wait?
We got $1 on it. I'm going to take the werewolf and you're going to take Bigfoot, right? Just for the sake of the bet.
Yep. I'm going to take Bigfoot, and I haven't read it yet. I'm not a dirty bettor. Okay. All right, here we go.
All right, you're on.
Here it is. Oh, this is not boding well. The very first line. Under a full October moon, mist clung to the pines like shrouds, and the forest breathed in long, silent exhales. A crumbling chapel stood at the tree line, its bell long rusted to silence. The air pulsed with primal anticipation, the electric quiet before something older than humanity stirred to violence. A shape moved from the tree line, massive, upright, fur matted with dew and moss. Bigfoot. The forest's hidden sentinel. His presence carried the scent of cedar and earth, a being closer to myth than animal. He paused near the chapel's cracked door, sensing the trespasser before he saw it. From the shadows came a snarl that split the quiet like a blade. The werewolf stepped into the pale light, eyes burning with feral intellect. Its sinews rippled under its silver-streaked pelt, jaws slick with hunger. This was no cursed peasant, but the embodiment of the moon's madness, ferocity without restraint. They began to circle each other, two legends bound by different covenants of wilderness. The werewolf lunged first, quick as a thought, claws flashing. Bigfoot caught the blow with a forearm that felt like stone. The impact cracked the air, shredding bark and dust. The werewolf's claws bit deep, but met muscle like tempered wood. Bigfoot countered with a roar that sent crows screaming from the treetops. His fists were the forest's wrath made flesh. He swung with the weight of ancient redwoods, hurling the werewolf through a headstone. Soil churned, and bones scattered. The creature rose again, grinning with bloodied teeth, moonlight burning in its veins. They clashed again beside the fallen chapel. The werewolf darted and struck, using speed and narrow arcs, each movement a flash of lunar malice. Bigfoot stayed grounded, using reach and terrain, tearing a marble angel from the grave's edge to use as a cudgel. The statue shattered on the werewolf's shoulder, but momentum carried the beast on. It raked Bigfoot's ribs, drawing a deep growl of pain. The forest itself seemed to lean closer. Branches whispered old pacts as Bigfoot stepped back, planting his feet in a ring of mushrooms. The phase circle. His eyes glowed in earthy amber. Power rippled beneath him, the living roots of the woods awakening to their warden's call. Vines twisted from the soil, grabbing the werewolf's limbs and dragging it down into the loam. The beast tore free with howls that split the night, but for the first time its movement faltered. Bigfoot struck while the moon dipped behind a thick cloud. He slammed his palm into the werewolf's chest, sending it sprawling against the chapel door. The door burst open, spilling moonlight into the nave, where dozens of silver candlesticks had been lit by pilgrims long ago. Light kissed one edge, and Bigfoot, sensing the creature's bane, snatched it up. The werewolf lunged again. The strike came true this time. The silver pierced through fur and hide, fiery smoke curling from the wound. The creature's howl echoed through the valleys, dying into a low growl, then silence. Bigfoot stood over the fading body as the wind shifted. The moonlight returned, gentle and cold. He looked down at the fallen predator, then at his own wounded arm. The forest's voice murmured approval through the leaves. With a low grunt, the giant knelt, pressed a hand to the soil, and the roots carried the werewolf's remains into the earth. By dawn, only footprints remained. Some massive, some clawed, and the broken chapel bell now swaying, giving voice again, for the first time in centuries. And there you have it. I don't think I would have guessed that Bigfoot won it all, but hey, Bigfoot, our champion of the Monster Mash on the 26th, a few days from Halloween. Yeah, pretty epic. I don't know. I think that's the point, right? Isn't the natural order supposed to defeat the unnatural order? And again, like I said, I didn't seed this intentionally into anything. I didn't give it any expectation other than the same prompt, and then I put this entity versus that entity. So I don't know. It's almost as if we're programmed to have the good guy always win, right? In this case, Bigfoot would be the good guy, right? I don't know. Still there, Jay? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The good guy's got to win, Mike. And it's weird that Did you type that in like right as we were talking about it?
Yeah. Like as you and I were doing it, I was queuing it up and then hit enter. And then as soon as I was like, okay, let's do it, it was done writing. And I just
like it did it in that amount of time.
Yeah. That's generative AI, man. Like it cranked the thing out in like 3 to 5 seconds. The whole thing, less than that, maybe.
That's crazy talk right there, Mike.
I mean, it's standard talk these days. That's not crazy at all.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I mean, dude is doing it nonstop. He's getting 9,000 views, on his crazy little AI generated shorts. How does that work? I
don't know. Have him teach me. Have him teach me.
Throw the hammer down and the tool belt and maybe sit as a computer for a little while.
Yeah, if it's shorts though, it doesn't work quite that way. It's not like the money comes rolling in. You got to get millions and millions of shorts.
No, it's not. Yeah. What did he tell me? 5 million
to make like $100 or something.
Has to have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to even get monetized. It's absurd.
He's got it all mapped out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's all there.
9.
Yeah.
Oh, these kids these days, I tell you, Mike.
Kids these days.
I don't know. I was really rooting for Bigfoot.
Yeah, me too.
I really was. Even though I bet the other way, just for the bet, I'll send you the $1.
Don't send me the $1. I owe you the $1.
I ain't got to. A bet's a bet.
Okay.
You got to pay up.
Right,
it's only $1.
It's only $1. All right. All right. I absolve you from the $1, but a bet is a bet. So I look forward to.
I'll sign it for you so you can keep it around.
There you go.
I won one against Jay.
Put it on the mantle. I'm pretty sure by the time you send the $1, and I'm not saying the speed of the $1, I'm saying by the time it gets here, it'll be worth 75 cents anyway. So, I mean, because the rate we're going with this economy, but
65, 55.
Yeah. Who knows? But fire stuff, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for jumping in here. What else you got regarding this or anything else? You like the format?
I thought it was cool. I really did. I was out there, I'm cleaning up my garage and getting stuff organized for the week and stuff, listen to your show. I thought it was cool. It was fun.
That's what we're going for.
I mean, that's, hang out, talk with your buddies, bet some money.
Yeah,
lose horribly.
It wasn't horribly. It could have been way worse than that.
Oh yeah, I did. I had the Mummy and the Mothman picked out from the beginning.
Okay, that's actually a good pick. And the cool thing about generative AI, I don't think it'll randomize some. So I think some of them will kind of be, the superior creature, folklore wise will kind of come through. But I think it'll be randomized if you did this again the exact same way, the exact same order. I think it would come out differently, which is kind of cool, which is, the collapse of the wave function, the potentiality of, the AI telling us about our own folklore, about our own psyches. It's pretty wild stuff.
Well, I mean, it's unbelievable. People are sending me AI generated things of what they want their restaurant and stuff like that to look like now. And they're like, can you build this? And I'm like, where are the plans? And they're like, oh, this is all we got from AI. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Don't be building things from AI just yet.
You can. People used to give me like cocktail napkins, with a pencil drawn on it. Write it on a piece of sheetrock or whatever. Can you build something like this? I'll try. Hopefully you like it and pay me.
That's really weird. The old days. Let's sketch this on a cocktail napkin. Yeah.
Well, no, really. And then you go over and look at the people's house and they start drawing on like where they want to take this part of the wall out and hang cabinets up. And they've got painter's tape and cardboard cutouts on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure. You can do that, I guess.
Welcome to it. It's coming. Like, again, it does hallucinate and it does do weird stuff. But eventually, like I said, I'm bullish that we were going to turn the corner on some of that stuff. And it's going to be, like I said, we got a sea change coming in a lot of ways. And there's going to be a lot of people laid off. And there already has been. And so we need to do something. And recognizing it first is the first place. And yeah. Wild stuff. You were the best, brother. Thanks for staying up late.
Yeah, no problem, Mike. It was a good show. I liked it.
Go ahead.
I was just looking for a quote for you.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay. If you want to hang around for a quote, stay right there and dig one up, and then we'll do the J-tro from the days of yore.
Yeah.
The J-tro.
I'm ready.
Okay, a couple more minutes and we'll finish this up. If you guys want to jump in here and give us feedback on the show or whatever, that's cool. Or what do you think about the bracket? I mean, we could have seeded it with some other wild cards, but I thought some cryptids in there were pretty good. And the ancient archetypal fear forces, which is really what was dotted this entire thing up. It's cool. It's a cool thing for me. And yeah. What else is there? Oh, let me read the rest of this because this is again read the write up. It's very good, and this is the companion piece to it. And the write up, of course, doesn't tell you who wins because it doesn't know, right? It's generated in real time. But anyway, so this bracket here eliminates pretense. No more separate mythologies, keeping them safely compartmentalized. Just the raw archetypal patterns facing each other until only one remains. And of course, the nature spirits of old, the primordial nature spirit of old, Bigfoot, stands victorious. I added that. What survives tells us which fear runs deepest, which shadow aspect consciousness finds most fundamental, which pattern proves impossible to integrate or destroy. We're not watching monsters fight. We're watching the collective unconscious sort itself, determining hierarchy among the structures we built to contain what terrifies us most. As we close the crypt on tonight's tournament of archetypes, we step back and notice something deeper moving beneath the surface. The monsters we placed in battle weren't just assembled for a spectacle. They became living symbols, each championing ancient fears, cross-cultural anxieties, and fragments of human consciousness. Setting these archetypal patterns into conflict revealed how our stories operate as psychic maps. By projecting what haunts us into vampire, zombie, werewolf, mummy, witch, demon, Bigfoot, or Mothman, we approach truth in safety, testing ideas too primal or unsettling for ordinary conversation. The bracket let us see where identities overlap, clash, and perhaps combine. It's no accident these monsters endure while others fade. It's because they carry something necessary, something unspeakable in the everyday world, but undeniable in the haunted mirror of myth. And there's a couple more paragraphs there, but that's basically the full write-up. This all dovetailed nicely, and I don't know. I had a good time. I hope you guys did as well. The Monster Mash, and I'll try and get a hold of Joe because everybody in the chat's like, hell yeah, we want another one with Joe, right? So I'll try and get a hold of him, and we'll try and set that up in short. Yeah. It's not fair, but I'll ask him anyway. Otherwise, we'll have all kinds of stuff ready to go. I'll again be prepared. Hopefully, again send your best wishes to James if you got him. Prayers, frequencies, vibrations, whatever you believe. He was not feeling great tonight at all. He's got some other stuff happening that he's just not the best. So do send that. And there's some news there too. I'm not going to say anything as yet, but there's some. James may need a hand, so just keep that in mind. If you guys have a little generosity in your heart, we can rally as a community and help him out. And he doesn't know I'm saying this, but he knows that I'm the type that would. So I'll keep you updated on that. But again, prayers, frequencies, vibrations for our friend James. He's not feeling great tonight. And that's that. Again, let me know. Show feedback. You can send me an email, new email. The old one still works, troubledmindsradio@gmail.com, or you can send it to mike@troubledminds.org. That also works as well. And let me know what you think about the show. And if you listen to it on the podcast feed or on the live feed or whatever, wherever you caught it, I appreciate that. And if you like more of this type of stuff, we can do all manner of this. It's endless, which is why I'm still doing this years and years later, because there's endless things to talk about in the space of monsters and mythology and folklore and everything else. Conspiracy aspects, yeah. What's up? You guys still talking food over there? Was it 3 hours of cheese? Is that right? Over on Rumble? Is that a different show? Okay. Final thought there, Jay. What do you got before we play the music and add the J-tro and get the hell out of here?
I'm just thinking we're at a point with, we have an opportunity to learn all these things with what's going on with the AI and doing all that. And that's amazing to me that was done in like seconds. How long would it take you to write something like that, Mike? If you just wrote it out or typed it out and you could,
certainly more than seconds.
Do it that fast.
No, it's way more than seconds. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like the entirety of this whole production that I do on a nightly basis, not even with the stuff we just did, the live AI generations, it would take hours to set all this stuff up. But because I've got everything kind of down to a very specific workflow, I'm doing hours of work in 45 minutes. So multiple things, the news, everything included. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty
I like
cool
the
thing.
news. I miss the news, Mike.
Yeah, well, back when I had a news show, I used to just read the news. I go like a whole hour and just blow through like 20 or 25.
Oh, it's fun to, somebody come in and give you a comment or two about it and, talk for a minute or two. It was neat. I used to listen to it when I was sitting in the car during COVID with karate. We weren't allowed to go inside. More people, more germs was the philosophy,
Yeah.
So we had to sit in our cars.
Of course.
Where they went in there and did it. And I'd listen to your news show because it was at the same time, live.
Live, exactly. Yeah, we used to do an afternoon news show during COVID. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So feedback is good. I appreciate that. Like I said, if you guys have feedback for me, send it to me. Look, I'm not immune to feedback. If you're like, I kind of don't like this or I kind of don't like that, fine, cool. Let me know. We can always get better, and I can always get better personally. And even with a lot of practice, and I'm good at some things and, not good at some other things. And it's part of being human. So don't feel bad if you don't like this or you do like that. Just let me know. I want to hear it, and I'm trying to do my best here and with a compelling narrative night after night. And it's not as easy as it looks. Like I said, try it yourself and you'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I bring you from the days of yore, the J-Tro.
Everything is possible for one who believes. And it's Mark 9:13.
I love it.
It's, it just with the church bells and everything that were going on, and the vampire getting his ass whipped in the church in the sunlight and the shards of broken stained glass windows. It's like, wow, that one just jumped right out of nowhere.
Yeah, almost as if it was conjured or beckoned. Exactly right. You were the best. Appreciate you very much. The J-Tro is something from the days of yore. He used to do this quite often, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with all the things we do. I appreciate you jumping in here. Thanks for bringing the J-Tro tonight. Fire stuff as always, and always a pleasure. You have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
You too, Mike.
Appreciate you very much. Jay, New York, good friend for a long time. And thank you for supporting the show, for bringing ideas, and again, for understanding all the imperfection that comes with doing this, and the imperfect human cycles we all encapsulate. If you want to help Troubled Minds, you know what to do. Help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. There's a whole list of people there. Make accounts, go follow them in all the places, and that's what this is about. It's about meeting people. It's about sharing ideas. It's about peeling off of mainstream narratives and considering things that are different, and recognizing it's okay to be different. That's it. Very simple. And for the people new, I actually don't look like this. This is the Halloween costume, but that's really what I look like there with the washed out filter to blotch out my blotchy skin. But yeah, that's it. If you want to help the show directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we will not tell you who to vote for. This is never has been a political show. I've dodged that as much as possible because I'm tired of their narratives. I'm tired of them dominating the entire zeitgeist and just brainwashing us through that MK Ultra for the masses. It drives me nuts. So that's that. If you want to help us directly, there's merch. You can buy the shirts, the hats, all the stuff. There's some pretty cool stuff at troubledfans.com. Yes, it is a play on OnlyFans. You will not find Michael Strange in a hot tub, but you will find the hottest Troubled Minds merch around. That's the old tagline. Troubledfans.com. Go buy some stuff. I appreciate that. And that's it. That's it. Help our friends, spread the word, buy some stuff, and listen on the podcast feed, by the way. So if you're going to listen back to this, go listen on Spotify or Spreaker or any of these other ones. And it does kick me a couple pennies as part of that because there's ads that play. So thank you for that. Let those ads play, and that's how you can help. It's very simple. And thank you for understanding that I am as imperfect as anybody else. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. And Team Bigfoot forever. Have a great one, guys. We'll see you on, what day is it? We'll see you on Thursday, God willing. Tuesday? God, I don't even know what day it is. See you on Tuesday, God willing. Michael Strange, out.